Oh.
Somewhere where you're actually allowed to speak the truth.
Yeah. You can say as many N-words as you want.
Nice. That's been my dream.
Sign me the fuck up. Sign me up. I'm gonna start streaming now.
Yeah, I was thinking about dipping out of Twitch because, like, if I don't get banned off of Twitch, I can permanently be on Twitch, right?
Everybody, dude, they're just gonna be like nobody left. I swear to God, I've heard that sentence about 40 times in the last like.
Well,
2
I think
weeks.
Twitch never wanted to be a political platform, anyways.
Too fucking bad. Shut up, Twitch.
But that's what I was thinking is like, so if I dip out on Twitch, but then like, you know, you have the roundtables, right? So if Hippy Dippy comes back, or if Prime wants you on a roundtable, or if somebody else is running a roundtable, if you're not on Twitch, you can't get banned from Twitch. And if you can't get banned from Twitch, then you can do whatever the fuck you want everywhere else, and then you can just be on Twitch when you want to be on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That's logical.
I feel like the most engagement I get though is through Twitch. And I mean, like, there is kind of there's a hole in the market. There's like a gap in the market for like right-leaning people on Twitch.
Yeah.
So, hey.
No, and
See,
I mean,
the real trick is to do the flow trace, become a llama pinata of some sort, and then show up on panels as your actual self. That way, if your llama pinata ever gets banned, you can always come back as the real
Drink
you.
one Red Bull and just go right into your takes. Just talk at a million miles per hour so nobody can stop you.
Love it.
I think Twitch will just start changing their policy to like fuck you out of being able to participate. They're snaky. They'll do it. They don't care.
Yeah, but that's like the fucked up thing is, you know, like I just want to argue with people online, talk a little bit of shit, talk a little bit of politics, and on occasionally I want to use slurs. You know, I mean, like is that so hard to ask? Like,
I want to say cracker. Wait, am I not allowed to say that?
Exactly.
I just want to say the N-word, goddammit. Just let me.
See, I've never really understood. I guess there are those people who just, you know, spout that several times. But if it's like a obvious troll or somebody is like clearly doing it maliciously, will Twitch ever look at it like that? Or are they just like across the board just go fuck yourself?
They don't care. They don't like politics in Twitch. So they're just like, no, fuck you. We don't like it. Get out.
So Queen Alexa.
So if they
The question
if
is,
you
get somebody in a hot tub saying it.
If you get some clown, like some absolute clown on here and he does something crazy, you would be the one that's ultimately
No, I don't stream.
Yeah, it'd be more like the host or whatever, or if it's you.
Okay,
since I don't stream, I can do these like really crazy debate panels on like actual racist shit and then walk away from it and be completely fine. We'll start in 2 minutes.
Listen, I've talked to Chud Logic a few times and I haven't been banned yet.
I'm so fucking pissed.
Counterpoints, I've done 3 great water placement panels. I'm still doing all right.
Literally got a chance.
Next panel is skull shapes.
Oh,
a chance to
you
talk
got
to Chud.
panel?
Oh
All
God,
right.
Jesus Christ!
I thought there was a gap in the hippy dippy gone. Apparently not. We're moving right into phrenology, race realism. Oh man, we're doing.
Damn right. I want to be
did
the
win
change.
The Friday panel last week. She is the spiritual successor to Dylan from Hippy Dippy. So expect the real racism to come out in the coming weeks.
Good for you. Hey Alexa, good for you. You were coming out fucking gloves off on. At least when I was watching on Wick. I love Wick, but you had me fucking Owen. And like nobody wanted to go at anybody, but I heard you fucking take the gloves off pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Penis. Mic check.
What did Wick do?
My end, it looks good.
Nothing.
Oh, it was pretty much I was taking a stance that I'm better than him, and no one's better than my fucking show. Fuck you if you think otherwise. I'll fucking end you. That's what I was doing.
Exactly where you needed to be.
Yeah,
for that
I was about to say
panel.
that guy. I think that's you.
Same thing twice.
I think everybody else is fine.
You guys just made me realize I did a bannable offense like 3 days ago. I watched a banned streamer on stream.
Was it Destiny?
Oh my!
I'm not going to specify because I'm not retarded, but I definitely did that for like a good long while.
But is that a bannable offense?
Yeah, they got
all.
all.
You can't watch Destiny.
All right, yeah, that's cool. I don't care anything about this. All right, we're gonna get started. There are gonna be a few people who show up a little bit later, because you know how they are. Righties be righties. You know how it is. All right. So the topic is: should we defund the FBI? This is based off the whole Mar-a-Lago raid, and recently we've been hearing certain people of the right saying, yeah, we need to get rid of the FBI, they're corrupt, they're evil, stuff like that. What do you think we should do? And you tell me. We're going to start opening space. There are quite a few of us here. Try to make it kind of quick. We'll start with somebody online.
Queen Alexa, thank you very much for letting me join you folks today. Man, oh man, this is one of my favorite topics. I had a panel yesterday about police interactions that kind of influenced my take on this. I think that we need a more unified police force, nationally speaking. I think that there's kind of an issue with law enforcement and these overarching agencies. I think that the FBI is a little bit redundant. I think that we have several national law enforcement agencies. I personally like the U.S. Marshals. I think that we just stick with them for our national level law enforcement agency. We've got our county sheriffs underneath that. We've got our state troopers. We've got our municipal police forces. I just think that we need a more clear and distinct hierarchy, and we can definitely do without the FBI. They're clearly having issues. They become overly politicized. We need a completely separate, free and clear, independent law enforcement agency at the national level.
Okay, counterpoints.
Yeah, not only no, but like fuck no. Like these people do so much more shit than you know that they do. And on top of that, like fucking with Trump, we don't even know whether or not that shit's justified. So that being like a precursor for this entire conversation, a primer for this entire conversation, like I'm actually really curious when we get into it what the motivation for defunding and eliminating the FBI is going to be, because we don't know what documents were taken. We don't know whether or not the documents have been recovered. We don't fucking know shit about the warrant. We haven't gotten the probable cause affidavit. We haven't had any criminal charges. So with this like coming out of the fucking woodwork, I gotta say, fellas, it's a little bit fucking cringe to have like the left wing be like defund the police, defund the police, defund the police, and then the fucking cops do one thing that you don't like, and then we fucking shit pants and fucking defund the police. This sounds like a really good way to just defund all fucking cops, and then we can start killing each other in the Civil War. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
All right, Elder Drazi.
I think the FBI is pretty necessary. When we talk about any kind of crime in the United States, we pretty much always use FBI statistics. The FBI is really good at investigating. People like to focus on things that like go wrong, but they do so much shit, and most of the time you don't hear about them because things don't go wrong. They're out there gathering data. They're doing the hard work, and they probably the number one proponent of keeping police in check as far as like reporting on police when there's a lot like really bad police corruption. It's we usually find out about this because of the FBI. They're like the highest level of cops for the like federal level. I don't understand why we want to get rid of them. I think we'd be kind of fucked without this body. And if you replace with something else, I don't know how you're going to shift over all this like experience and information that they've had. Like you're just going to give it to people who haven't had like all the kinds of clearances needed. It just seems really crazy to change such a foundational institution of enforcement in the United States. It just seems like a really bad idea.
All right, Franklin and Slash.
Yeah, I'm in favor of a form of defunding the FBI in the sense that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has too many powers that they decided to throw all together, including dealing with terrorist attacks, dealing with cyber criminal activities, dealing with police corruption on all levels, protecting civil rights, which they have never done ever. Combating transnational criminal enterprises. There are a variety of different organizations that already serve some of these functions, and to actually like decouple the power might be a beneficial interest. The issue seems to be that America really likes to silo its law enforcement and keep all the information to itself. So if there could be more communication between agencies, then that might be a good motivator. I think this is a terrible reason to defund if you're going to base it on one warrant that was executed, because there have been a variety of horrific warrants throughout history that they have executed, and there have been no discussion of those. If we're going to talk about the years under Nixon, we could go all day about terrible things done under the FBI. So yeah, I think overall, FBI historically used for a variety of functions now seem to decouple those functions, and we should be investing in the variety of different departments that already investigate most of what they do.
Yeah, the Alex Kirsch Project.
Hello, I'm Alex, the Alex Kirsch Project. My position is that no, not only no, don't defund the BI, but absolutely freaking not, because it's completely absurd. The people that are freaking out right now because they want the FBI to be defunded is because their god Emperor Trump might be held to account for classified documents he might have taken. They're still waiting to prove that. They went through the proper process. They're acting like these are some deep state operatives that are operating under the guise of George Soros that is only doing this because they feel like Trump is fighting the establishment. So now they're freaking out because the FBI got an affidavit, got it signed by a magistrate, approved by a FBI director, appointed by Trump, and appointed by the attorney general, who's risking pretty much everything, who also has a 100% conviction rate. Just because you're freaking out about this now, it's nothing more than a virtue signal. People that want the FBI to be defunded have no idea what they're asking for, because the FBI takes part in fighting domestic terrorism, international terrorism. They also fight against human trafficking. They fight against drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, what have you. So if you want to defund the FBI and dismantle it, then you are doing nothing more than virtue signaling. You have no idea what you're asking for. If you want to hold them accountable, and if you say, well, there's a lot of corruption, there's corruption everywhere. If they make one mistake and you want them defunded right away, then what's next? You want the police defunded? You want the CIA defunded? You want the military to be defunded? What do you want next? That's my position.
Liberal clock.
Yeah, so I think that the people who want to defund the police, FBI, need to show a few things before it would be convincing to me. The first thing is going to be, what are they doing that's that's egregious enough to justify defunding them. Running a search warrant, a legal search warrant against Trump just isn't enough for me. I heard somebody say something about them being politicized. I'm looking forward to seeing the evidence of that. The second thing is that they're going to have to figure out what's going to replace them. I mean, at least the defund the police movement had like a idea of what they wanted for the most part to replace the police. As bad as it may have been, there was at least an idea. So those are and the FBI does so much. I actually looked it up, and it's just like a long laundry list of things that the FBI does. Like everyone else on this panel has said, we don't even notice. So you're gonna have to find an agency or agencies that's going to be able to do those things just as effectively as the FBI before I'd be convinced that the FBI needs to be defunded.
All right, Joe Lewis.
Black people need a mechanism to keep politicians and institutions accountable, because we're in a position where our rights were not baked within the systems. So these are rights that have to be explicitly expressed and explicitly articulated, and they have to reflect in the law. So if the FBI's mission is to protect American people and uphold the Constitution of the United States, we need to make sure we have the ability to hold the FBI to account when they betray this mission, especially for Black people. The institution of the FBI very clearly has to change and reflect their core mission, and that's going to require changing a lot of the settled habits of thought and action around the institution of the FBI. But that's also going to require a lot of other institutions to change with it, because you can't change the FBI in a vacuum. So, like, I am in support of dismantling the FBI. I'm in support of defunding the FBI. But it also would require, as people would alluding to, is changing a lot of other institutions. And that's what revolutionary thought is about. Like, it's not just changing one thing in a vacuum. It's changing all these other things in a vacuum and trying to analyze, like, how these institutions interact with each other. So, yeah, I'm with it.
Big takes.
I'll be short and sweet. Fuck no. Our institutions are strong.
I like it. Tiberius, go.
Yeah, so I was going to approach this with Hellfire and Brimstone, but I actually haven't heard anyone go like towards the Trump affirmative here. So I'll hit the core points here. Defund the police, no. Or this is literally the same conversation for me politically. Is defund the police because we don't like them or they did something wrong. When it comes down to it, the FBI is the federal law enforcement arm. That's what its primary role is. And I'd actually take the exact opposite viewpoint as our good friend somebody online on that. It's like defund U.S. Marshals, defund Secret Service. You can fold all of the responsibilities into the FBI on this. They're already the primary apparatus for this as it is. So for me, this literally wouldn't be much of a change. As far as the whole like DOJ, FBI being politicized, this wasn't literally just, hey, the election was yesterday and then we got raided. This was literally 2 years into a presidential administration, which, if rumor is to be believed, is that what Biden didn't even know about this investigation or what was going on until literally the agents were on their way to Mar-a-Lago. So for me, is that this is politics. If you wanted to scream bloody murder about the FBI, you should have been doing it 4 years ago, and you should have been doing it during the fact that when Trump was president. So for me, I just see political bias here. I don't even see anything that's concrete or substantial besides people bitching. And quite honestly, I'm really getting tired of people who are bitching, running this fucking country and dominating the political conversation. Please fuck off.
Kevin Logan.
Yes, hello there. I used to be of the opinion that the FBI should be dismantled and defunded because of its consistent history of politicization and its involvement in the assassination of private American citizens, etc., etc. But actually, over the last couple of weeks, I've had something of an epiphany on this topic. Clearly, the fact that they raided Mar-a-Lago means that, as has been pointed out by many people on Fox News, clearly they're in the pocket of Big Soros. And as such, they should only be not defunded, they should be funded much more so. Literally pour all of the military budget into the FBI and arrest all of the Republican members of Congress and put them in FEMA camps. I thank you all.
Okay. The floor is open. Go at it.
So I'm really interested in the FBI is politicized conversation. I don't know if anyone else is. If not, we can not go into this. But I heard somebody say that earlier, and I'm really interested.
Is it the institution or the agents? Like the agents themselves are taking actions that are politicized, or is this like leadership and the institution itself is politicized?
I feel like there has been like this heavy expectation that all of these people must be included, must have knowledge. Information is being shared back and forth between the president, between the administration. The things that the administration are being taken into account by the directors of the FBI, because the last FBI director was fired by the president, who was assigned by the previous president. The current FBI director is being selected by the current president. The next FBI director is probably going to be replaced again, or at least once the administration switches from conservative to Democrat. The FBI is only getting further and further politicized as we continue. We need to create some sort of a separation between the law enforcement agency and the political body that's making decisions on the country. And also, we need to come up with some sort of more unified, lateral, open, transparent law enforcement agency so that we can hold our law enforcement agencies accountable, and so that there can be a more uniform expectation of how cops are going to be trained, like from one place to another. So we need to come up with some sort of a better system of law enforcement as a whole, and getting rid of the established systems that we have now is the only starting place that we can work from. We have to get rid of the FBI.
Wait. We're in open now.
The FBI director is always appointed by the president. Isn't that how it's always fucking been?
Yes. I want to hit on this in the regard that no, and fuck no. The reality here for me is very straightforward and very, very simple, is that the executive branch, I cannot talk today, executive branch of the United States government is the enforcers. They are the ones who are out to do the enforcing. I'm sorry, I'm fucking falling apart here. I'm just going to rage for a second. The reality here is straightforward. If the American people want an executive branch that isn't politicized, then the American people need to start voting for people who aren't partisan fucking hacks. That is literally all that this conversation comes down to, is that if people want legislatures and leaders that are actually going to take their jobs fucking seriously, they have to vote for them. And so, you know what? I can blame Trump. I can blame Biden. I can blame Obama for politicizing the DOJ, because they absolutely fucking have. But when it comes down to it, it's fucking Joe Blow American that keeps voting for dumbasses like this, whose fault this really lies with. We need to stop voting for people who are political partisan hacks.
No, what we need to do is get rid of the 3-letter agencies. We need to give this power back to the states. The states arguably can do it better. They know their localities better. They know all these things better. The FBI does not know their localities. They fucked up Waco. They continue to fuck it up when they don't know their localities. If we hand it over to the states know their localities. They know what they're going into, and they have a greater understanding than the FBI ever will.
At the federal level.
Can I jump in on your behalf?
Well, no, I mean, I have a thought. I do have a thought.
Can I have a thought before you, real quick? So, fucking.
I mean,
Louisiana. The state of fucking Louisiana literally has dickloads of fucking people incarcerated. Shitloads of people don't like. They're basically worked like a motherfucker. And all of that shit is so disproportionately affecting black folks. It's fucking insane. And on top of that, like, you can't look at different departments. Like, for instance, Ferguson, as an example, they know their locality. They're parts of the community. And what were they doing? They were treating the community like a fucking ATM by basically hitting them up for tickets and fines all the goddamn time. And
Derek
who came in order to check their fucking
misconduct.
work? They were checking their fucking work by having other higher level fucking law enforcement agencies check their fucking work. So, no. When you just push it down to locality without accountability, you can absolutely fuck people over, and you're basically who said that? Who
said there was not going to be accountability? When did I say there wasn't going to be accountability?
At the local level, when you don't have fucking a higher authority to appeal to.
A fucking court system.
Get rid of local police too. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of interesting because, like, as somebody who supports reparations, and we've seen in America, like, we gave reparations for white people. That was a New Deal. And the reason why we can say that the reparations for white people under the New Deal was reparation for white people is because of the decentralization and leaving it up to the states. And something that I think it could have been helpful if we're trying to have an approach that is a bit more inclusive for every American is to have some level of oversight during the New Deal. So we can't look back and say, well, that was reparation for white people. So, I mean, I guess it's only okay for them. So, but
exactly what
you need to have these institutions accountable. Like, it's you just got to have them accountable some capacity. The FBI is supposed to serve that function, but it's very clear that they betrayed that mission. So maybe it's possible that there needs to be a reimagination of what the FBI is, changing the settled habits of thought and action, which is going to in turn change the settled habits of thought and action with other institutions. Like, changing the FBI isn't just doesn't start with the FBI. It's all of it. It's all of it.
Who then takes over the responsibilities that the FBI is like tasked with? I mean,
that's their job.
Oh,
that's their job.
Let's actually address this because what happened
wait.
You just said let's reinvent the wheel, and then when I'm like, hey, what is it?
State police forces. The state police forces.
I'm not a politician. It's like this is the thing that I find so funny. It's like we as people demand certain things, right? And then in the face of the demands of those certain things, we seek individuals who have that similar interest as we do. And those people who enter into the marketplace of saying, hey, we want this because you see us in me and vice versa. And then it's their job to go and do that thing. Like, you didn't see Republicans talk about the semantics of like, well, how's the wall going to be built? They wanted that wall built. And then Donald Trump said, I'm going to build that wall. And then it's up to the people to make sure that Donald Trump in that case is held to account. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, we can say that we want something and we can recognize that something has to change. And if somebody wants to change something, it's their job to articulate how they're going to change that. And then if that meets our interests, then we'll be on board or not.
Well, we can also hold the police accountable. We can also hold the police accountable via the court system. And the first way we start doing this is we overturn the ruling that police don't have to protect citizens, even if they know there's harm that's going to be done to them. That the police can just stand by and watch the citizens get hurt as they stand by and just sit there and go, oh well, because the Supreme Court has told police that they are able to do this. That decision needs to be reversed, and we need to be able to keep a police accountable through the court system. And the FBI, the responsibility of the FBI needs to be handed down to state police. Give the funding of the FBI down to the states as well, and you will see a much better functioning system than what we have today.
Unless you have judges that are actually part of that problem that there's two judges that have just been ordered to pay $200 million in fines for doing the kids to cash schemes. So unless you're going to tell me, oh, let's just send it back down to the state level right there, that's going to magically fix anything. Who's going to check the checks and balances for the state system if you don't have any federal oversight? That's kind of the problem. If you want accountability for all the 3-letter agencies, I'm in full support of that. If you want to have a separate entity that can hold these systems accountable, go for it. I'm all for it. But dismantling systems that are already in place just because you're having a little temper tantrum is not going to fix anything. I want checks and balances like anybody else.
You're talking about Pennsylvania judges, right? You're talking about Pennsylvania judges, right? Right? Not justices, not justices of the Supreme Court.
I said judges.
So it could be appealed through a higher court, right? So if there's a corrupt judge, like you're trying to point out to try and make my entire point valid, you're trying to me. No, I said hand the responsibilities. You are making my point valid. I said hand the responsibility. I said hand the responsibilities of the FBI down to the state, make the state police have the responsibilities of the FBI, give them the funding that they would get, that the FBI would normally get, and then I'm not saying the judges or the Supreme Court no longer exist and now it's just state Supreme Courts. I never said that. But what I did say was that courts could keep police accountable. And part of that is the Supreme Court. Part of that is appellate courts.
No, because here's where you're wrong, though, because the FBI has different divisions that specialize in certain areas. The police are already overfunded and overworked. I mean, not overworked enough as is. Police get called for absolutely.
You need to correct yourself.
Well, yeah, but anyway, they get called out for everything. They get called out to pick up somebody's dog. They get called out for people sleeping in their cars. They get called out for every little thing, and that's why, like, for example, if you want to take, for example, human trafficking cases, drug trafficking cases, and you want to dismantle that entire system and hand it down to like police officers that are already overworked right now, you're asking for more problems. That's
you realize you're talking about local police, right? Not state police. State police sit on highways and wait for you to fucking speed. That way they can pull you over and get money for the state.
You're missing my point.
You're
missing my point.
No, different states have different organizations. On that GBI, Georgia has the GBI. I'm pretty sure California has the CBI. They actually have like a state-level Department of Investigations. Same thing with Florida. Florida, of course, like 90% of the state cops are state troopers, so yeah, they're fucking traffic cops. But they also they review every single state-level shooting involving law enforcement, and so they count as a supervisory count on the municipalities in the county. So what I'm saying, so this is what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and be the lefty today. Fucking Joe. So I don't even want to put this in Joe's words. I'll put it in my words. Why the fuck would we have like a system in which we can check based off of like national level standards, and then we just say y'all handle your own shit, when we know there's backwards ass fucking states like Louisiana, like I brought up, where the same people who are populating the law enforcement division would be also populating the fucking courts? Because like, how the fuck does it make it out of appellate fucking courts?
Well, I mean, I want to hear Franklin.
So something that we didn't consider was how broad the FBI has been expanding their power post 9/11, and the fact they've seized a bunch of acts away from other parties. And you might have read the decision of West Virginia versus EPA that's about to smack down every 3-letter agency that is in existence because Congress did not pass legislation with the interpretation that they were going to address all of these individual concerns. It went to the federal level. They gave it to them, and now they're about to lose a vast amount of those powers. So I would like Congress to think about individually assigning the roles that they are supposed to as the congressional body, instead of saying, I guess the executive branch now has the power.
Okay. Well, Tiberius knocked on something that's like super important, which is we as people vote against our interests, and we're put into positions to vote against our interests. Like, if I want reparations for black people, which I do, why would I support any candidate that doesn't have reparations and black people in the forefront of their politic? Like, what's the point in voting in that, in a system like that?
Have you seen the episode of South Park, Douche and a Turd?
I mean, yeah, it's like Republicans are trying to like appeal to black people, saying they're not racist. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about. And then Democrats are saying, we see you. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about. And it's like, the question is like, what are you doing for black people? And then Democrats are nefarious enough to say like, oh, well, vote for us and we might be able to help you in the future. and then we're going to but we did things before that were really good for you. So because we did that good thing in the 70s, maybe you should continue voting for us. And that's worked for them. And I think something to Beers's point is that we need to have better content in our politics in order for us to be able to make better decisions. Because right now we're not given the choices to even be able to reimagine what these institutions look like. We're given the same thing, whether it be from the DNC and the GOP, and neither of these institutions have any interest in changing the FBI as an institution. They don't care about the courts. They don't care about
what's your
police.
question? What's your point? You just basically said that I'm fucked either way. That's all I heard.
No, I'm saying like the one thing that we can do is demand for better content in our politics and make sure that politicians know that. So
you're joining the forward party. You're a Yang Gang. That's also what I'm hearing.
No, not Yang Gang. It's that it's looking to Cory Booker and saying, I'm not going to vote for you unless I see this on your platform. I'm not going to vote for Democrats unless I see this on your platform. Then that's the Democrats' job to figure out. That's not my job as the voter.
Okay. Well, good luck with that shit.
I want to get in on that because I was brought up. So I'm going to actually push back largely against Joe, but thank you for bringing me back into the conversation. I really appreciate that. So number one, voting against our own interests. I won't touch that too much because that's largely just a political bias conversation. It's just like, you're voting against your own interest. And you're like, who the hell are you to tell me what's in my interest? So like for me, I'm just going to leave that at the door. I'm going to believe in the power of liberalism to openly be like, you know what? I'm going to assume that people, no matter how shit they are, actually do understand their own interests better than most other people. So that's part one. Part two is the spoiler effect. Look, I totally get where you are, Joe. And there's a totally big conversation in the idea of, all right, guys, either vote for what I want or I'm not voting for you. Like that's kind of the role of the American people. But there's also the spoiler effect in regards of, if I don't vote for the people who kind of want what I want, the people who want everything that I don't or actually can harm me might win. And that's the political reality that you have to face. So,
it's what Democrats do to always say the vote for them. So I mean,
the Republicans do the same thing too. So I'm not going to act like the shoe's on one foot. So like, and it's actually political masterclass. Like you have to do this. Is that some people you have to kind of drag along kicking and screaming because they would rather take a shitty Republican over a shitty Democrat. That just basically comes out to it, and vice versa. So, like, the issue for the spoiler effect and how it transitions back into should we fund the FBI for me is that we clearly have a lot of people who are unhappy. We clearly don't agree on a fucking thing of how to actually fix any of it. But the long and the short for me is, what is defunding the FBI going to solve for anybody outside of, oh, hey, they might not have the level of oversight from the feds that they used to have. And, you know, what is the, I'll put it this way. I don't see anything good because what the FBI provides, which a lot of people don't realize, is they provide federal resources to the state level and to the municipality level to combat what I would call geopolitical forces. As an example, Miami has continental scale drug trade. You do not fight that with the resources of a municipality. You don't even fight that with the resources of the state of Florida. You have to fight that with national resources. And that is why the FBI are active in Miami, because that is one of the best places that they can intercept drugs.
To that point,
we can also recognize that maybe the FBI, because they did this when they murdered Fred. Like, they can collaborate with local authorities and local officials to say, like, this is the problem that you presented. Here are the resources to help you with that problem, and here's the ways that we can help you towards achieving that goal. Like, if you believe that you don't want the drug trade in Miami, I think most Floridians would agree with that. Then it's up to the federal government to assist Floridians in that problem. But what we see time and time. I mean, like, how else
you think Miami wants to stop the drug trade? Are you fucking high? Like,
who is going to train? Who is going to train these officers to deal with the fucking crazy situations that they're going to run into?
Hold on. No, I gotta address this.
Hold on. So, I think it's important because Half Baked Takes brought up a very good point. Is when you're apathetic towards these institutions and towards the problems that exist in states, they keep growing to a point where the take of, well, how are you going to pay for all of this is a critique that people have.
I didn't say pay. I said, who's going to train them?
That's
okay.
their job to figure out if they believe that problem.
No, I
It's
gotta.
their job to figure that
You're
out.
all
If they believe there's a problem that
May
needs
I
to be
interject,
resolved.
please? Okay, so no, this is what we're talking about with perverse incentives. The whole point of having a federal system and the whole reason why you like outsource interest to the national level is because exactly what Sprout said, where he said that these people know their municipalities and they know their localities and they know their people and they know this, that, and they know that. Do you think that like the city of Miami cares whether or not the people who are paying their like state taxes or their fucking real estate tax, do you think they care if they get it from fucking cocaine or selling cupcakes? They don't give a fuck. All they care about is
care
the
if their
fucking
citizens are
state taxes
dying?
come in. What's
Do they
that?
care if
The
their
state
citizens
police
are,
do.
Do they
Do they
care about
care?
their citizens are dying? Do they
No,
care about their?
this was the
do they
entire
care about- do they
1980s and
care about-
1990s. They don't
do they
care.
Do they care about police officers collaborating with those very institutions and groups that they find like
Do you know who
irreprehensible?
might.
and
cleaned
illegal?
that shit up? Do you know who like was at least a part of the solution to clean that shit up? The FBI.
Feds.
So it's like
And how?
I don't
how
know
does
where
how
local
does
and
that
we're
Miami?
dirty.
Half-baked
Joe,
takes.
what's your
Half-baked
point?
takes. Use the courts. Use the
courts aren't
courts.
gonna clean up
The
dirty
courts are there
cops.
for a
Hold on,
fucking
hold on,
reason.
Well, here's
You
the
have
thing.
to give
Clean
the
up
courts-
dirty
you have to
cops.
The
give courts
FBI
information.
doesn't bring anything to the court.
Do
They
you want
never
these
do.
judges-
They barely
I'm not
prosecute
arguing.
50%
No,
of
listen,
their things.
I'm not.
They
Listen, I'm
intimidate
not
people
arguing.
out of the business.
Listen, I'm not arguing that the FBI should bring it to the courts. What I'm arguing is people are bringing up like instances of police misbehavior and saying that would just be rampant if it wasn't for the FBI. No, use the fucking
Already
courts.
rampant with the FBI.
No, we wouldn't have an oversight, but we wouldn't have an oversight arm.
The
to our
court
law
wouldn't be
enforcement.
oversight.
No,
The
How does
Department of
court
Justice.
enforce
Wait,
their
wait. You're
fucking decisions,
you're telling.
Sprout? What the
You're
fuck are you
telling.
talking
You're
about?
you're telling me that the Department of Justice is not a counterbalance to the two other branches of government. You are telling me right now that the Department of Justice is not there to keep the legislative and the executive branch in check.
No,
What the fuck are you
absolutely
talking
not.
about?
No. I want this. I fucking want this.
Okay,
The
go ahead.
Department of Justice is subservient to the executive branch. They are the
No,
enforcers.
they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not subservient to the executive
No,
branch.
yes, they are. The
They
Attorney
are
General.
directly.
Yes,
They're
subservient. The
No,
Attorney
Department-
General runs the
Go
Department of
somebody pull
Justice,
up a
which is
fucking
appointed
map.
by the president.
So he runs the
Government
Supreme
map.
Court. He runs the Supreme Court.
No. God
So
damn it, Sprout.
is the Supreme Court part of the Department of Justice?
No.
It's
No,
not.
not everything
No.
gets to the Supreme Court. You have to deal with like circuit courts and people. Prosecutors would be federally appointed in those circumstances, so they are correct. The DOJ is reporting to the president. The issue would be whether or not we need the function, which everybody seems to agree that the functions of the FBI are good. The issue is the organization doing those functions? And it seems like they're doing a whole bunch of other functions that fall far outside of the ambits of what they should be doing.
So I've got a
I think
question.
they-
I've
I
got
think
a question. I've got a question for the panel. If the Supreme Court is not a part of the Department of Justice, then why does the Department of Justice host everything Supreme Court? Well, everything official that's
They
from the
have
Supreme
to
Court is
pay for
hosted by
all
the
of
Department of
support
Justice.
Staff, they have to pay for the court system. They do not control the justices that are on the court.
Right, they don't control it, but the justices of the court are part of the Department of Justice.
Well, the
it's-
Supreme Court interacts in a way that is a little bit different. I'm not taking your position fully, Sprout, but contextually speaking, right, is that they can make certain things the law of the land because they have the ability to do that. And then you could have a swath of states that say, like, fuck a Supreme Court decision, I'm going to play hoop. And then it's up to the federal government's job to say,
What just
no,
happened?
like, this is the law of the land, and we need to enforce this thing. But
And
the
how do you
problem,
Marijuana laws. Look at marijuana laws.
Marshals.
For the last
the
2
problem
decades.
that I have with decentralization is that you can't leave it up to the states to do things in the way that they believe to. Like, if we left it up to the states and just left it clearly up to the states to figure out integration in public schools, we still
I'm not
have
saying-
I'm
not saying.
segregated.
I'm not. Whoa! I was addressed. So we're not leaving segregation to the states, and the enforcement power of the court would be the marshals, right?
I mean,
that
we
would
left
that would be the
segregation.
marshals.
We left segregation and integration up to the states.
Right, until the Supreme Court took over, right?
Yeah,
until
the
fucking
What are you trying to say,
legislature
Hat
took
Base
over
Take?
and we established a fucking constitutional amendment that made it fucking illegal or the federal government could enforce discrimination.
You're saying Brown v. Board wasn't decided by the Supreme Court?
It was decided by the Supreme Court, but we needed
Can
two.
I stop getting derailed?
We needed
What is
two Supreme
happening?
Court decisions in order to figure out how the states were going to do that. Because Brown v. Board of Education didn't do anything about the integration of public schools. They just had to do it with expedient speeds. And then we needed Brown 2 because every state needed to determine how they could figure that out on their own terms. And even in the face of that, schools came with resistance. And my point that I keep trying to make, but I guess it's because we're trying to argue, is that we need to make sure we have some type of federal oversight and a timeline towards these type of things, so we don't end up with certain states resisting along the way.
I agree. And that is where the marshals come in and are essential to this process. Court marshals are essential to this process.
Okay, and then
Well,
what
if you would
happens
need
when
more
the
than-
marshals are corrupt and politically motivated because they're busy enforcing federal law? You have the same fucking
Well, you-
problem.
They're not busy
Well,
enforcing
Sprout, I
federal
think
law.
you-
They're busy making sure police officers aren't ignoring federal law.
But I think you would agree in that you would need like a higher level of individuals to enforce that. For example, like if there was a law that if we federally were to get abortion in some type of codification in federal law, you know that there's going to be some states there and definitely private healthcare facilities that go, actually, because of my religious beliefs, I don't want to do that. And then like the next grievance level, there has to be a level to go up to appeal to these things. Like, hey, this institution of healthcare that I'm interfacing with is violating my rights, and who is going to help in terms of making sure that this entity that is explicitly violating my rights held to account? Because you can't just say, hey, that's a rights violation, stop it. Like,
Again,
maybe
that's
you
the
could
court
do that,
system,
like,
right?
it's
No,
going to
That's the
require
court system, right?
It would require the court systems. It would require other enforcement
Look,
mechanisms.
It wouldn't require the FBI.
It could if it's serious enough.
Okay, hold on, everyone stop. I want to hear him Happy Takes so fucking bad. He'll even have an aneurysm. Go Happy Takes.
Dude, I don't even know what the fuck is going on with this conversation right now. Like, it feels like somehow we are spinning in a circle of like Joe and Sprout are making the same points over and over and over again, but those same points are just what me, Connor, and fucking Ty literally said from the beginning. Hey, you need a fucking federal oversight, and that it's not always the FBI, but the FBI is one of the agencies that provides this service to the fucking federal government. And I don't know why we're talking about fucking states' rights and like all this shit, but Joe, might I fucking point you to the 10th Amendment where it states that any right not designated, not deliberately designated to the fucking Constitution goes to the states. That's why we do this the way we do it. This is our system, and you have to operate within that system.
And if we choose, and are you saying okay? So like then the
Okay,
question,
Please let Joe respond.
Yeah, then the line is that you would have to have some type of mechanisms if the thing that you want in the Constitution isn't working in the way that you want it to change it in such a way so it actually reflects what the reality is. But unfortunately,
that's called repealing a fucking amendment.
I would love to finish the sentence.
Shut up! Shut Franklin, go.
Sorry. Joe, please finish your point, and then I have a point about why this doesn't make any sense that we seem to be pivoting around multiple different functions of the FBI. It's okay that you can have one branch that does the version where they're supervising other agencies. Then you also have a domestic intelligence agency that, while it's violating its rights, isn't actually subject to the same constitutional requirements because it's hidden behind secrecy. And then you have all the other great functions that the FBI does, like statistics and gathering information. All of those are separate things that one agency is doing, and because it's using its civil powers when it's crossing its criminal powers, it gets away with fucking murder when it comes to people's constitutional rights.
I mean, I can censor that a bit,
I'm
Franklin.
kind of curious, is there really a lot of examples of that?
Yes!
I'm sure there's
I can give you a long history of the FBI
we literally
politically killing people.
We murdered civil rights activists. And or we won't know until it gets leaked. But it's heavily suggested that we basically told Martin Luther King to kill himself over infidelity, but we won't know that until those files get released. But then
There
what's
was
going to
also-
be funny?
I mean,
It's my
yeah,
understanding
What's going to be funny is that you're going to have people who will simp for the CIA and FBI because they'll say, "Well, Martin Luther King was being unfaithful to his wife, so it's totally justifiable that these things are." And then you have a bunch of other people who will
also the
say, "Why the
60s.
fuck are you giving a private citizen death threats and using infidelity as the cudgel to do those things?"
Because
So
it was
it's
the
my understanding that-
60s.
So it's my understanding that back in the day, the FBI and CIA used to be able to get away with a lot of things, and then there
They
was some
still
kind of
do.
reform. I really wish I remember the name of it. I didn't look into this because I didn't think this is where this conversation would go. But there was some kind of reform to the FBI and CIA that has greatly stopped these kind of abuses from happening. Am I wrong about that?
And I guess to finish my point, to what Franklin was saying, is that I think the most important thing is that we are seeing in real time that the settled habits of thought and action around all of these branches that are within the FBI are not collaborating with each other. And because they're not collaborating with each other, with the central settled habit of thought and action, you lead to so many issues with that and so many problems that exist with
Well,
that.
I think there's going to be problems with any type of institution that we implement, but
Okay,
that doesn't change the fact that the FBI absolutely seems like they are providing an essential service to the United States for the safety against terrorists, domestic and foreign. I mean,
Is that what they were doing? Is that what they were doing when they were raiding all those mosques during 9/11?
Potentially? Like what the?
I wouldn't
evidence?
say so. So I would say that that was probably their intent. It probably wasn't executed in the best way. But like, what agency are you going to have that's going to execute it in a different way? Do you think in that time, in a time where animosity versus against Muslims were at
You
a
just call it
incredible height?
Islamophobia. That's cool.
Liberal Cluck, why wouldn't the states be able to do this? I want you to give me an actual reason why the states would not be able to do this.
Why they wouldn't be able to protect the United States from terror attacks?
No. Hold on. There's like bullshit that just flew on this fucking panel. Raids or surveillance, Joe?
We can say raids. We can say surveillance. I would say both.
No, you
but
can
depending
say
on which way
one
you want to
and
go.
you can pick it and you can back it.
I'm
Raids
saying
or
both.
surveillance.
Raids and surveillance.
Okay, what raids?
I didn't know that this would come up on a panel. So
You're the one that brought it up.
to you.
Let's take
You're
it
the one
back.
that brought it up.
So I'd have to
Google
provide.
it and
So
fucking
I
don't say bullshit in front of me. Surveillance. I think
counter.
is
That's
perfectly
really funny for you to
fucking
say that. You know that's funny for you saying that. In the
Hold on,
past,
Julius,
you're
if
not
you're gonna
talking
bring
on
up
panel.
something,
I
and
can
you get
back
called out
up
on it, you
99% of
absolutely
the
gotta be
shit
able to
that I
bring up
fucking say.
We're not going to go down that road. I'm more than happy to
you
provide
tell-
you
no,
examples
what road do
after
you
the
wanna
panel.
Go, what road do you want to go down? What have I said that I can't fucking back? Now or in the past?
No, like we'd have to go from point to point. But if you're looking for a link, I'll send it to you directly.
Okay,
We probably
cool.
won't have time to read it now, but we can deal
All
with
right,
it.
we
later.
don't. Yeah, we don't have to do the fucking
You know?
evidence source that shit. But anyway, so hold on. I want to summarize this conversation because we're dogs fucking chasing our tails.
It's in
right
general
now.
notes, by the way.
Okay, I'll read that in a second.
I'll quote it directly.
So let's summarize the conversation so far. Sprout thinks that moving everything to the local folks is advantageous. I think probably 4 or 5 people on the panel have said fuck that. Franklin and Slash have said, or basically that they take on too many roles without accountability. I think that's an interesting conversation because if you boiled it down, the main functions that we've kind of identified as necessary are like counterterrorism, police statistics, anti-corruption, and then maybe we can like diversify into multiple institutions, the other enforcement, like anti-human trafficking or specifically counterterrorism or something like that. You can make these subdivisions or alternative institutions. I don't really have a problem with that because the entire conversation is about the distribution of power. That's what we're talking about. Franklin and Sprout are saying it's too concentrated. We're saying these roles need to happen. So the question is picking out the fucking middle. And then, Joe, I'm going to be a little bit rude and shitty, but basically what I'm hearing from you is what's in it for me. That's what I'm hearing. And I'll leave it there.
What do you mean by what's in it for me?
What's in it for black folk? If we were to destroy the FBI, defund the FBI, rebuild the institutions and all that kind of stuff. What's in it for black folk? That's kind of the main question I've been
I can answer that question very distinctly because it's a very simple thing, and it doesn't take a long soliloquy to say.
Like Counterpoints finish, please.
Yeah, 10 seconds,
Sure.
bud. So
Sure.
my thing is when you ask that question or like fucking Todd brings up the fact that the 10th Amendment says this thing, and they're like, well, we need a mechanism to make sure that our institutions match our reality and actually serve the purposes that they're designed for. Well, we have a process. It's called repealing amendments and passing legislation. We supposedly live in a fucking democracy. So why are we ignoring that? Because unless you're talking about violence, you're going to have to go through the legislative process.
That would be my point about passing legislation that actually gives the FBI the powers they claim to have.
So like I said earlier, black people need mechanisms to keep politicians and institutions accountable because we are in a position where black people's rights had to be secured and they weren't baked into the institutions when they were constructed. Therefore, the FBI is an essential entity in making sure that the rights of black people are preserved, period.
Also, Connor, can I just ask whether
I agree.
It seems rather odd that you would bring up the idea of self-interest as a political motive, as if that's a strange or abhorrent thing. Isn't that basically all of politics?
Yeah, I'm not sure what point you think I was making.
You said that it was you brought up that Joe was talking about what black people would get out of this thing. And you mentioned that as if that was like a negative or a strange, unusual thing. That
I'll be since we're majority with like white folk and right wingers tonight. I'll be mask off. Okay. The reason why is because I'm a liberal and I find it distasteful when you do like ethnic, tribal. Yeah. So, no. Like, I'm still conservative compared to all you fucks, but I'm just saying, like, the idea of liberalism being like people are equal before the law and you should have freedom of speech and conscience and like all that kind of stuff. That's what I mean by liberal. Okay.
Sorry,
go ahead.
But I would just argue, and I can't speak for Joe, but certainly one of my problems I have with things like the FBI is that they don't always treat people in that way, and that's not a reality.
You're right. You're totally right. And on top of that, there's the ideal and there's the practical application. So when we're talking about like in the 1960s or 70s, the FBI agents under Edgar Hoover, if I remember correctly, spying on civil rights activists and basically blackmailing the fuck out of them. Let's not get too loose with it. But basically like blackmailing the fuck. Oh, God damn it.
Well, not just blackmailing, but assassinating.
Potentially, or allowing them to be assassinated, or feeding intel to people who would do the assassinations. Yeah.
Okay. So reforming the FBI and stopping black people from being killed for daring to engage in the liberal democracy that you seem to like surely is a perfectly reasonable position.
Well, I think so, but at the same time, I don't think that we live in the same place as the 1960s. So, for instance, we brought up like abuses of FBI.
They're still doing it.
Okay. Well, people are saying still doing it. And they're using Waco as an example. I would like to hear other examples. And
do you want FBI surveillance since 2010 on almost every group? And then the ACLU recently demanding...
Sure, is that the same thing as political assassinations and sending letters to people to tell them to kill themselves because they were cheating on their wife?
Let's go.
And they've targeted the God King Emperor as well. It's political.
Filiberto Oyedo Rios was the 2005 fugitive from Puerto Rico that they killed. Do we want other examples?
Yeah, well, actually,
we can go all day with examples.
No. I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump. Tell me about fucking Dorios or whatever the fuck his name is.
Okay. Yeah, he was a fugitive from Puerto Rico. He was a nationalist leader. He was killed. And basically, there was a series of independent issues around human rights abuses and suggestions that the FBI was attacking him and then assaulted him, causing his eventual death. So,
I mean, causing his eventual death.
And that's not a new thing, by the way.
This is very vague.
They've been fucking with Puerto Rican nationalists.
I'm sure it's actually
again, if we want checks and balances, great. I'm all about the checks and balances, but dismantling his entire organizations just for a virtue signal, all because
you're not dismantling it.
No,
That's
but
what defunding.
You're not
dismantling.
dismantling. No. Wait. If you transfer funding to the states and create these same and create the same thing, but just via the states, if you do that, that's not defunding. That's transferring funding, right?
Anyway,
no, bro, that's what the lefties are talking about. That's
it's
defunding.
like if everybody wants to dismantle, defund, however you want to do it, it's not going to solve any problems. You're still going to have the same problems. You're just going to take funding away from the organizations that specialize in these matters. If you want to go into each individual case of where the FBI has done terrible things, absolutely, we can go over every single individual case and hold the people responsible for those accountable to create a better system. But this whole concept is like, let's dismantle everything. Let's dismantle the whole defund the entire United States if you want to do that. I mean, where does the line end? That's what
one thing.
The question I have for you, which is kind of like a simple question, is that like, do you understand that we're not like I or other people who are supporting this is not talking about just firing everybody and rehiring everybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so what other things could exist in this prescription of defunding and dismantling the FBI and reassembling
Hold on.
What do you think that requires?
The reason why this...
What do you think that requires?
It requires... Okay.
Can I address some bullshit real quick? For the past 4 decades, Filiberto Ojeda Rios has been a leading figure in the fight for Puerto Rican independence and against U.S. colonial rule. He was wanted by the FBI for his role in a 1983 bank heist. So they go to fucking arrest him for robbing a fucking bank and they kill him during the arrest? This is seriously what this is what you're bringing to the goddamn table right now?
That's 90% of those stories, counterpoints. If you even dig past the surface, like if you even like touch the dirt, if you touch the dirt with the shovel, it falls apart.
Dude, this is the Pro Rios website, by the way. This is Democracy Now!, somebody who's anti-FBI.
I'm just gonna tell you what I want.
We all try to talk at one fucking time. Shut up! Like Kevin Logan, and after Kevin Logan, I want to hear from somebody on Danielle Pedrazi. Now fucking go.
I was just going to say, I agree with Counterpoints. Actually, we should just do Judge Dredd stuff. And when you go to arrest someone, you can just kill them if you want to. That's fine. Yeah, that's That's exactly what I'd expect a liberal to say. Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Oh my!
I want to hear from somebody online.
Yeah, no, going back to my original point on this, that the FBI has by far too much power. There's way too many expectations on the FBI, and they make dramatic changes to the way that they handle things. It seems like every 4 to 8 years, whenever the administration changes over from one thing to another. I think that we need to come up with some more rigid and structured hierarchy for law enforcement and the way that these systems should function and work. And I don't think that they should like sway on the whims of individual politicians and operate in shadowy back rooms, making deals, sharing information, hiding information. Like we have the Government Transparency Act where we can FOIA information. We need information to be more publicly available. We need to have these systems not operating in the background, frickin' pulling strings without anybody knowing what's going on half the time, and then blaming people, using them as political pawns. It's ridiculous. We need to consolidate the power.
I want this.
Now I want to hear from Eldrazi, then Tiberius.
All right. Thank you, because my notepad was starting to get a little full here. Everybody's talking about all the bad things about the FBI. Even people that are defending the FBI are still like trying to make those things not seem that bad. So I just want to say, here's some things that are really good about the FBI. They're our largest counterintelligence, our largest counterterrorism, our largest financial crime sector. Everybody who doesn't like law enforcement seems to really hate people that fuck over people in the finance sector. Well, the FBI has 32 dedicated units set up to fighting that, and they're pretty damn good at it. In addition to that, they also
you're saying the FBI is better. Wait. I'm making a clarification. You're saying the FBI is a bigger anti-terrorism than the CIA.
No. As far as like active and local in the United States, I believe
absolutely.
so.
Oh,
if it's domestic,
oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorism dwarfs foreign-based terrorism right now.
If I may continue real quick, I was very patient. I didn't interrupt a single person. Please hold your comments and applause till the end. I'll go very fast here. They also are the #1 agency of like anybody. Nobody has returned more money to people that have lost it to ransomware because they have an amazing cybercrimes unit. Over $300 million is given back to American people that were duped out of ransomware money, which is pretty fucking cool if you ask me. The government usually doesn't give people money. They usually take it away. They employ over 500 scientists. some of the most prolific figures in any kind of law enforcement came out of the FBI. You got J. Edgar Hoover, Robert Lamprey. They're instrumental in capturing or exposing the people that gave Russians the ability to set off the first nuclear bomb test. That's the FBI. Like, that's pretty fucking based. The moles that they've set up, or the moles that they have trained and established, some of them have gone undercover for over 26 years, bringing down some of the largest crime families in the United States.
Including COINTELPRO, where they just went in and fucked over democratic organizations.
Yep, because they were commies.
Now look,
Yeah, that happened as well, yeah? Okay.
I don't think any institution's perfect. I think we're going to have outliers and we're going to have bad things. It has a really long history. I just want to talk about the good things. Okay, everybody's talking about the bad things. I just want to...
I just want to hear about the good.
I would just like to be able to have the good things talked about.
Yeah, you can. We can talk about the good things when there's a position where we need to talk about the good things.
Well, my position is that we should have the FBI.
We have
so that is the position.
Okay, me too. So it's possible where I, as a Black American, can recognize the things that the FBI need to do and are responsible to do that are good for Black people. But I can recognize if
you're gonna set Connor off. He's getting triggered.
Yeah, what are they gonna do for the whites?
And this is why I asked Alice this question. If we recognize that the FBI's mission is to protect American people and uphold the Constitution, and we have examples that they have not done that, then what do we do from there? Do we just talk about the good things that they do and think that those bad things that are against their mission are just going to magically adjust, or can we recognize?
We talk about an accountability system.
We can recognize that, but they have done stuff for Black people.
Even in the face of good things, institutions can do bad things if they're built on bad habits. And we're just trying to choose my point.
So how about the good habits? Because of the FBI, scientific method has been implemented into investigating crimes.
That doesn't engage my argument.
Okay, yes, it does. Without applying forensics and science to crimes, I think we're going to see a lot more racism involved in arresting people that can't get overturned without DNA evidence, without people actually going through.
Forensics and science. Yes,
states use forensics because it got implemented in the FBI first.
You're absolutely
correct. The FBI
correct.
is the people who brought it in.
Your point is that the genetics of the research therefore justifies the organization, which
states don't use DNA testing, guys.
Okay. What I said is I would like to point out some of the good things. That's all I said. You're taking it to a really far extreme. I just said everybody's talking about the bad stuff.
All right, big whoopty fucking dude all day. Shut up, Joe. All right, Tiberius, go.
Okay, appreciate it. I want to reply to somebody because he actually raises a point, and while it's largely the antithesis of what I believe in, is that what he's wanting to do structurally is like, hey, look, the FBI does a lot of fucking shit. There's definitely some movement to say, hey, look, let's split it up to here, let's split it up to here, and let's split it up to here. In theory, this would be great. The problem is behind the scenes. The problem is not the FBI. The problem is the fucking administrations. Because whether it's Republican or Democrat, every time we have a big fucking election where we flip parties in the White House, the entire DOJ gets fucking ransacked and gets rebuilt, and it isn't fucking effective until year 6 of that presidential administration. Because you'll have one Republican, or at least until Trump, will be like, no, we're gonna fucking smash on hard drugs, and we're gonna smash on weed, and we're gonna smash on all this shit. And then the Democrats being like, nah, maybe I should be a little bit more, worried about something else, cybercrime, that kind of thing, or if you will, just they don't really think hard drugs are as much of a problem, so they change the emphasis completely. The issue is that even if you break these things up, for me, you're literally just going to see every political administration, one entire sector of our Justice Department get fucking throttled while another one gets amped up to 11. Like, we gotta stop that shit. America needs to have a conversation on what they actually want from their fucking law enforcement.
You're absolutely right, Tiberius. So instead of creating another federal institution, bring it back to the states. Let the states take care of it. Don't make another federal institution.
Wait.
Also, X-Files, just saying.
I really want to hit this with Sprout. Because Sprout, I get you, but let's not try to, fall into saying the same thing the whole night. Not only you, but me as well. So here's the issue. I get that you're I believe in the states. I believe in my municipality. That's two layers of government. They can kind of keep each other in check. That's fine. What is your problem with the feds? Because don't get me wrong. That's a lot of power in the supreme authority. No one checks them. I totally can get a fear and an animosity there. but like having 3 different forms of government, I think is a good check on power. Having the interactions that we do, where you can have the municipalities, you have the states, and you have the feds all converge in one area because some horrible shit's about to go down. Like, these are resources that we can apply in that regard. Like, for me, on a macro scale, this punches, and it punches fucking hard. So, like, what's the issue here?
My main issue is that the FBI is held seemingly without restriction. The FBI has continuously, throughout its entirety of existing, has scope creep. And it is scope creeped to the point to where it's unrecognizable from anything but unilateral. So the only solution at that point in time is to take apart the institution, bring the power back to the states, let the states take care of it, give the states the funding that the FBI was getting to make sure that they have the funding to operate inside the states, and to ensure that it runs well. Maybe have a quarterly or monthly meeting between all these different state intelligence agencies, and then you move forward with that instead of allowing the FBI to continue its scope creep.
All right, I'll split with you. Wait. Let me just get this real quick. I'll split with you here because the Supreme Authority thing, I think, is a hard counter to my side of the aisle. Like, I have to deal with that. Like, just there's no one to check the feds unless it's the feds themselves. Like, that's why the legislative branch checks the executive. They just have to do that because there's no one else. So I have to just eat that. But the other side of that is that I want to repeat what I said just on the last conversation, my point to somebody, because I think that's relative. If the American people can actually agree on anything regarding what we want our police forces to do, where we bring back the scope to something a lot more critical, a lot more focused, can you meet me on that bridge? That we can have the FBI.
If we can realistically, fucking rope the FBI back out of the scope in which it's creeped into, and realistically bring its scope back to what it used to be, I think the FBI would be fine. But I don't see a realistic way to do that without changing the entire system.
Well, in a way, wait. Just wrap that up. Just in a way, I think you're right in that you are looking at it like a fundamental seismic overhaul. So I want to split this. I don't think we need to defund the FBI, but I definitely think it needs a fucking scalpel. And it definitely needs a refocus and mission. I'm 100% okay with that. I'd love to hear Connor's thoughts on that, just because, he's, the only guy who's actually been in law enforcement that I'm aware. So, like, the long and the short here, refocus the mission, I can agree on. Like, completely tearing the system or that whole apparatus apart, different conversation there. I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah, well, Ty, are you talking the only person who's had like a fucking pseudo-constructive fucking thing to say about like actually breaking up the department? Because the two things that I've heard complained about, kind of scope creep, like fucking Sprout just said, but too many fucking roles, nothing specified, and then 2, no accountability. I hear that. Fucking everybody should be accountable. And Joe, if you were talking about like, well, what do we do when our institutions don't follow their alleged fucking purview? You have to talk about accountability. But I haven't heard like any kind of mechanism for accountability so far. All I've heard is let's break it up and put it back together, and maybe it'll be better than the other thing. And that doesn't make sense.
I mean, the thing that frustrates me is that that's their job to figure that out.
No, it's not. It's your job. When you're in a frying pan and you're a fucking frog and there's the fire outside and you're like, hey, guys, I think we should jump in the fire. And then the other frogs look at you and they're like, hey, bud, I think the fire is hotter than the frying pan. Then you're like, well, jump and we'll see. That's your fucking problem as a frog.
Do you believe that there are members of the FBI who recognize that the FBI is a flawed institution?
Every institution is flawed. You just said nothing.
That doesn't answer my question.
Yes, there's FBI agents who think the FBI is flawed. What's your point?
Absolutely. So do you think that it's possible that there are other FBI agents currently within the institution that agree with that sentiment?
I actually think they would probably agree with Franklin that we need to fucking divide up at least into divisions in order to specify our roles so we can specialize and do our jobs better. And I also think another thing that could be said is we shouldn't be executive appointees. we should basically not be appointed every 4 fucking years by every administration. We should have consistent leadership so it can be unbiased. Also, I think FBI agents might say we need an accountability system. So yeah, I think that's possible.
Yeah, there are mechanisms in place to narrow the scope of any agency, but like right now, it's literally like Joe Biden right now could write an executive order and narrow the scope of it.
But Joe, where are you pushing?
Do you think that it's possible that there are FBI agents that agree within the system and they can change it within itself?
No,
at least
because
try
they're probably at the mid or the lower level. They're probably at the mid or
It's
lower
a lot
level.
more difficult than that, though, because you can have whistleblowers that can say, hey, this is what's going on in the FBI, and they could be, for all we know, ousted out of there because it happens to the police departments all the time. That's why you got to have outside support coming in to investigate a separate entity, because that's kind of like having a oil company regulate itself and investigate itself. It doesn't work that way, because they're only going to say, hey, we got a clean bill of health. We're going to go. But the thing is like, if you're going to try to say, well, the FBI is going to investigate itself, it's not going to usually turn out the same. That's why you're going to have an outside entity investigating other sources. That's why we usually have outside entities investigate local police, state police, FBI, CIA, NSA, the whole nine. That's why you have these hearings and whatnot to find out, okay, so where did we go wrong with this? And that way we can take these examples of everything that went wrong, learn from it, and implement it and put it into policy so it does not happen again. Does it always work? No, but that's why it's important. You can't expect people to regulate themselves, honestly. That's why you need outside people coming in for this.
Well, that's the problem.
Real quick, I won't rant.
How many outside institutions do you believe would have an invested interest in making sure that the FBI changes? And how many institutions do you think the FBI that are outside the institution of the FBI feel like that they should not change?
Joe, if I had one problem with your fucking debate tactics, you do this thing where you ask everybody fucking questions for 5 goddamn minutes when you could just tell us your point. Why don't you just tell us your point?
I'm trying to just see where people's thoughts are, because I'm not treating this like a debate.
Fuck our
I'm treating
thoughts.
it
Tell
like
me
this
the
is
point.
talking on
You
some
don't
niggas
have
on the
one.
internet.
Just admit you don't have one.
I just want to get in real quick.
What?
Before
Idiot said that? What idiot said that? Who was that idiot?
Was
that you? Was that you laughing up there? Somebody online? Was that you said that stupid shit?
Like your hand up. You go.
The point that I was trying to make is that the FBI can't do this alone, and there are other institutions, other entities, and other individuals who have the ability to work with the FBI as it's changing itself, because almost every institution has some type of invested interest in and interfaces with the FBI. So it's not just going to be the FBI that has to change. It would have to be the other institutions around it that would also have to change with it.
You're making making your criticisms too unwieldy. This isn't anything that's actionable. Basically, what you're saying is everybody has to come along for the fucking ride, and we need a cohesive vision for all the fucking institutions that.
Do you think that the institution? Wait, but Connor, do you really think the institution of the FBI can only change by itself in a vacuum?
Hell no. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I said hell no a minute ago.
Why are you disagreeing with this then? It's sounding like you're disagreeing here.
Well, because what I'm saying is, hold on. Let me answer this question correctly. So what I'm saying is that if you actually wanted to depoliticize the FBI, which is what the fucking magatards all give a fuck about, then you would basically have to stop making them federal appointees, because that's making it so the leader of the FBI can set the agenda and they can flavor the investigative outreaches of the FBI. That's one problem. The second fucking problem is accountability. You have to come up with an accountability system. I have an idea, but I don't want to bore you all to death. The third thing is specializing, that Franklin and Slash kind of said. Now, I don't know. For me, I think the FBI would probably say, we don't need to break these up into new law enforcement divisions. We just need to break these up into subdivisions of the FBI. I don't really give a fuck one way or the other, because, I trust the FBI more than y'all because I'm straight and white, right? But the point is that you can come up with these fixable goals that seem incremental, whereas you're saying we can't fix this one thing until we fix everything. And for me, it's like, what the fuck? Where do you want to start?
You can't have one change.
You can't have one change. Hold on. Y'all gonna kill forever. I want to hear from Half-Baked Takes, then Franklin.
Okay, Joe, I'm getting bored. So I'm actually going to make a point for you, and then I'm going to see where the conversation can go, because nobody has brought up the fact that the plot to kidnap the Michigan governor, Gretchen Whitmer, nobody's brought this up. This would be a great example of like, oh, wow, look at the FBI doing some really dirty shit and have trying to pin it back and make it look like it's coming from the American people. But then when you go into that story even more, you find out it's actually a problem with their informant structure and how they allow informants to dictate what is determined to be evidence. So why don't we narrow the scope of that portion of the FBI? There you go. There's an actual thing that you could say instead of just asking us all questions 18 times.
Okay, can I get it for like 2
are you
seconds
saying
here?
that you want the informant structure to change?
I said Franklin was next, and then Joe, you can respond.
That's true.
Okay.
Oh.
I just want to address part of the problem, as was highlighted by Connor. Most of my problem is with the domestic intelligence branch of the FBI. The idea that they're this intelligence agency while also dealing with its like general job of being this like large federal police division, because they're using both of those powers together. So I will bring back to the Oyeda point, and I will say that although they were conducting a regular investigation carrying out the FBI warrant, what they also were doing were surveilling a nationalist, and then when he was shot, they left him to bleed to death for 18 hours because they were concerned that there were explosives in his house. And then there were several appeals to the UN to check the human rights on that, and they would not disclose important intelligence information that they had. So part of my problem is not whether they're exercising force as a proper police force and carrying out warrants and doing the things that we expect of an agency. My problem is that if you're going to hide behind also being an intelligence agency at the same time, you lose all that accountability. So they need to pick a lane, and there needs to be that oversight for the intelligence in a way that does not give away safety and security concerns that people might have.
Well, no, can I say why I love this really fast? The fucking, you could do a domestic intelligence agency like DII or something like that. Literally tabulate all the statistics for law enforcement, do all the research that you need to do, fucking do the intel stuff that when it actually is needed, it can be fed over to the enforcement arm, and then you can have the enforcement arm, which like they will feed stuff to the intel. But this is how we specialize. Actually, this is how we specialize in the military. Intel and DoD, like we have our own integrated intel, but we also have separate intel who feeds into the pipe hitters, if you want to say. And then also, we even do this in municipal law enforcement. There's actually like, even the city of Orlando, it's pretty big. They actually have an intel agency that aren't cops. They're not going to kick down your door, but they conduct intel, like open source intel stuff in order to assess threats and in order to pass on information and statistics to the public. I actually fucking love this.
Wait, so the only issue I have with that is that on a structural level, the reason why the FBI is the domestic intelligence agency is one, they didn't literally want to give that power to the CIA and basically turn them into our version of the KGB. So we didn't do that. The other side of that is that when you're talking about where you want to separate the intelligence part from the enforcement arm, like I get that. The problem is that, and maybe you'll disagree with me on this one, is that fundamentally, even if you have like a separate department or a separate apparatus, they're so integrally connected that to say that they're not the same thing gets to be arbitrary or nebulous, if you will.
So here's my problem, okay? If you can have that enforcement branch and they can carry out warrants, but then they don't have to go through with their prosecution, and they can use that as the mechanism that causes all of the harm and then just leave it because they've done that and then they're still protected. You have the problem with the intelligence interacting directly with the enforcement branch. And a lot of FBI prosecutions just don't go ahead because they've done something that either violates someone's rights or along the line they lose their witnesses, or there's a variety of like reasons they just don't proceed. The issue is once they've neutralized the threat or there doesn't seem to be any concern or there's an investigation about their behavior, they just kind of ease up and they don't talk about it anymore. So that's my point.
That happens with all different kinds of organizations.
I agree.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be doing. I mean, if that's your argument that we should not be having, like, if people are held by the rule of law, which we are a country that's supposed to believe in these things, then yes, I'm in full agreement. So I don't really know what else the argument. I mean, but again, defunding the FBI is not really the answer. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it.
Well, okay.
Well, just because you keep saying it doesn't make it true.
But Alex,
it is
Alex,
true, though.
what do you mean by, like, for you, when you hear somebody say defund the FBI, what do you think they are trying to say?
Taking resources and funding away from certain projects that they might need and whatnot. That's one of the reasons, and possibly redistribute it elsewhere. That's one of the reasons behind it. All it really means is like, what was it? Elder was talking about like all the things that it actually takes part in, like the human trafficking and drug trafficking, what have you. So if you're going to take funding away from that just because of one example, like for example, we'll take the Trump raid for example. If people want them defunded for that specific reason, then where does the line start and where does it end exactly? Does that mean that we're just going to start defunding the FBI just because one political affiliation says, oh my God, defund the FBI because they raided the former president of the United States? I mean, to me, it's nothing more than a virtue signal, honestly. So that's my complaint about it.
So what we heard from Alex is a whole lot. What we heard from Alex is a whole lot of nothing, because I've consistently said that the FBI should be defunded. This should be handed out to the states because of the FBI's inability to keep their own damn scope and to involve scope creep into what they do.
Defund the military because they've done the same shit, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
The military has scope creep. Where's the military scope creep?
Alex, I can give you something.
Nothing. Okay, got it.
I can give you something that you can actually nibble upon, right? So let's talk about the Trump case, right? Let's talk about the Trump case.
Okay.
Like, one of the things that people are talking about and alluding to is the idea of like changing and reformatting the Espionage Act, because as we've seen, the Espionage Act doesn't really contain anything about espionage, because spy cases are rare. Like, we understand that even in the Trump investigation, like, they have like a very broad definition through the Espionage Act in terms of like information. Like, what Trump did and what the at least from what I read is that like one part and one of the problems is that you can have the possession and transmission of certain sensitive government information, and that falls under the Espionage Act. So if we had a law or tried to enforce something federally that changes that language around what espionage is and updates it, that's not going to only, and this is to my point, that's not only going to change how the FBI interfaces, that's going to change how police interface, and any other institution that would be interacting with that act.
So
okay, hang on. The reason why spies are non-existent. Can I please?
Whoa! I'm saying
what I
said to make sure that you're engaging with what I'm saying instead of just saying some shit, Elder Ghazi, is that
what do you mean? Why would I not be engaging?
What I said initially, I'm just making sure we're centered here so you don't go off on a tangent, is that the Espionage Act seldom pertains to espionage, and spy cases are rare. That's what I said.
Okay, so I was responding to spy cases are rare, and I'm gonna just keep talking until I can say my thing. So spy cases are super rare because the FBI exists. There'd be a lot more spies without the FBI. They're really good at catching spies. I don't think any government agency comes even close to catching as many spies as the FBI does. And then what I've been trying to say for the last like 900 years, you can't have investigations and involving secrets and also transparency. And to what Spartacus said like a long time ago, is that we have to dismantle it all. We don't have to dismantle it all. If you really want the FBI to change, if you want some kind of accountability, if you want some kind of like internal agency within the FBI that can report things that they can report without ruining everything, you got to make the FBI issue sexy. You got to make it a big point for people that are running for office to fight for you for. You can't just cry and whine about it when something bad happens that you don't like. You got to say, these are the things I want to have change, and I will support any candidate that supports these things changing in the FBI. Like,
okay, wait. When did I specifically specify that I was mad about certain events that the FBI was doing? I'm mad about scope. I'm mad about scope creep.
That's not what I was saying. You said. I'm saying you said we have to tear it all down to fix it. I'm saying we can fix it by electing officials that give a shit about the FBI. If we make it a bigger issue, if we make it an important issue, and we're very vocal, like, hey, we give a fuck about the FBI. If you give a fuck about the FBI in the same way I do, I'm gonna support the fuck out of you, and so are all my homies. That's how you get it to change.
But this is not efficient. This is not efficient. This is not efficient, though.
This is workable because what Ty mentioned before is that there are plenty of candidates that are brought up to the ballot that don't share these type of interests. So if your interest is to change the practices, policies, and procedures of the FBI, and that is your goal. That's what you want. And the politicians that are currently presented do not represent that. What should you do as a voter?
Well, the reason they're not represented is because not that many people actually care about this. It's only recently that this has become like a really big issue because of the Mar-a-Lago thing, and that,
I mean,
like,
it's the same
this
question.
isn't a thing that affects most Americans' everyday lives. So
I mean, it does,
it's not
but
going to be a thing.
No,
that's
the
gonna be-
Mar-a-Lago thing is what made this a panel. The Mar-a-Lago thing is what made this a panel. It's not. It's not what
you've
brought
always
this issue
been
up.
very passionate about
I
that.
understand that there was like this niche group
Okay,
of
yeah.
people in the past that
Okay,
would talk
okay,
about
so-
like
so
FBI
liberal-
and being. Can I talk for like 2 seconds? Like,
I mean, I
holy
asked
shit.
Eldrazi a
Oh, I
question, and you
understand that
came
there was, like-
screeching in. So
Okay, so I understand that there was like people in the past. There was like this niche group of people that thought that the FBI needed to be reformed or dismantled or whatever. But it definitely was not a big issue the way you see it in the news and the media and in social media, the way it is now because of the Mar-a-Lago thing.
this
The
nigga
Mar-a-Lago made it a
this-
topic. It didn't just
God damn.
randomly bring up people's feelings about it.
This nigga just did- this nigga did some practicing
that
talking.
made this a topic.
So Eldrazi, you mentioned the idea
Yes.
of politicians or individual citizens voting for people based on the interests and finding those
Yeah.
shared interests. So
And
in the
making
case,
this an important case to you.
sure, and if it's and let me tell you something. The FBI is an important case for a lot of people, but the question that I asked you is that if you are somebody who is passionate about the FBI, cares about the FBI changing, and politicians on both parties do not represent those interests, what should you do as a voter?
But you need to get them into the primaries. I mean, like you have to, like I said, you have to make it a sexy issue. You have to start
Do
at like
we
a
have to
lower,
do
smaller
that?
level.
Or do
Yeah,
politicians
democracy,
have to do that?
bitch.
You have to convince
I mean,
the people. You have to convince the
How,
people.
how
You-
often does
you
it
have to
work
convince people.
when people don't give a shit about something? The politicians are going to represent what people care about, so that way you vote for them. So if you can start a movement or get enough people talking about it, say, hey, we really care about this, it's going to have to get discussed. It's going to get asked in town hall meetings. This thing is going to come up. And when it comes up over and over and over again at the highest levels, eventually somebody's going to say, hey, FBI reform has been a really hot topic lately. What do you think about the FBI and what should we do about it? And then once that happens and somebody with a larger platform has to answer that question, now everybody's going to talk about it. But you got to give a shit about it. It's got to be more than just on panels. You got to start talking with people on Facebook. You got to start making posts on Instagram. You got to get fucking loud about it, so that way somebody who's actually going to ask somebody who matters is going to hear that. Because right now, nobody does this. It might happen with the Trump thing, but it's going to be solely focused on that. You got to turn that, you got to use that opportunity and turn the focus to like, hey, we just want this to be different right now. Because the FBI kind of kicks fucking ass. Like as far when it comes to kicking ass, they do it good. But we have a couple issues. Can we fix them? That's how you got to do it.
So it's not the people in positions of power recognizing the flaws within those systems and making it central so that the public knows about these things. It's private citizens and their advocacy to make politicians care. Is that what you're trying to say here?
Why would somebody who's a part of the system want to change the system? That's how they made it in.
Joe,
you got to tell them.
Give an
you're gonna
argument for voting? Didn't you just give an argument for voting 2 seconds ago?
My argument for voting is
I
similar
swear to God, I
Tiberius.
heard you like
The
10
argument that I
minutes
made
ago
to,
tell me
am I going to
that-
be able to talk, or are you going to be able to
Are you
continue
sure?
saying
You're
the
like
exact
100%
same
of the
thing, or
fucking
am I going
panel,
to say what I'm
but
going to
minutes, I've
say?
been listening to you.
How's this going to work right now?
So in a democracy, you're
Tiberius and
absolutely
I-
not going to expect
Tiberius
a
and-
politician to try and represent something that people don't care about.
Tiberius and I hold the exact same position, which is
You sticking
people
with that,
as
Tiberius?
voter.
My dude, will one of y'all let the other person finish talking? Y'all killing me.
No, I'll go ahead and talk. All right.
Yeah, me
So
too.
now
Fire
that
on.
we discussed that.
Shut up. All right, now let's let Joe Lewis finish, and then we'll let whoever else is on.
Defund this fucking conversation. Jesus Christ.
Base. Oh my god.
Someone would have to be funding
30
any
more
part of it
minutes.
first. By the way, subscribe. Queen Alexa's not streaming, but Sprout and I are.
When
That's what I'm talking about. So now to address the point that like people are like, let's make this sexy for the politicians. Let's make this something the politicians want to talk about during debates. This isn't something that just randomly. These feelings aren't something that just randomly came up. That like yesterday, I'm like, what do I think about the FBI? I haven't really thought about this recently. What are my thoughts about the FBI? No, I still don't like Mitch McConnell, but this isn't a panel about Mitch McConnell. Mar-a-Lago made this a panel. but that does not mean that people just all of a sudden be like, oh, I hate the FBI now because of Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, I gotta
can you say an opportunity to create that conversation?
Okay, so
Please,
anti-right wing point. If you were fucking bitching 4 goddamn years ago as I was about Hillary's fucking emails, then you should not be talking shit about defunding the fucking FBI because Trump took a bunch of shit and handled improperly classified shit. So
again, I'm not bringing up Mar-a-Lago as a defense. I'm saying Mar-a-Lago made this a topic.
Fair. And I haven't heard you fucking specifically pussy moan about fucking Trump being investigated for this, that, the other, or anything like that. I'm talking shit to the fucking audience.
You weren't here last week.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying,
well, he's been a lot better because I literally wanted to make that point. I'm sorry, Joe. I just have to butt in. Number one is that, like, for all that I would love to Trump bash in the same way that my good friend Alex is that I really haven't heard that from Sprout, and I'm going to defend him in that, like, he hasn't made the die on Trump Hill defense.
You were here last week.
I don't care. I wasn't here, and I'm not going to take something that I wasn't witness to as a conversation element. All right. So, like, me and Sprout have a pretty good, friendship going on thing, and I'm going to give him the credit that I would for anybody else. He hasn't said that here, and if
now the VAR gets it, I was like, fuck.
Shut up for a minute. Yeah, I was going to say, if you do say that here, I swear to Christ, I will rip you a new asshole. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to hit is that somebody online brought up something really great earlier. We have to revisit that. The ethics of honeypotting, and if you want, like, sting operations. I think we have to talk about that. I really do.
No, we need to devolve the honeypotting powers to the states, clearly.
God damn it!
Yes!
So the reason why...
More sexy spies at the state level.
The reason why I addressed you initially, Ty, to the point when we're going back and forth about voting, is that I think you and I hold a very similar position in that we should be voting for people who share our interests. And to some capacity. Like, I'm a little bit farther on that than you are.
My point? Like, we're at the core, like, on the core thesis is that we are both civic activists. We want people to actively go after what they want, and we also want to hold our legislators accountable to actually doing what the fuck we want. The problem that, like, where me and you disagree in that whole conversation is usually at what point is an acceptable loss within a representative to get what we want. So, and for me, it's always been like, you know what? If I get 51% out of what I want, I can vote for that person because it's better than getting anything less. It's just very consequentialist. You do seem to have a bit of an all or nothing approach, and I don't know how feasible that is. I don't think it makes logical sense, I guess.
Yeah, and I can articulate, like, exactly what that voting position is. I'll try to ask the question again, unless RoboCuck wants to practice talking. But the thing that was the thing that was for me is that we interact with these institutions, and by interacting with these institutions, we see ourselves in these institutions. So, as a teacher, I see myself in the institution of education. Mm-hmm. So, but there's a lot of people who built their entire lives on these settled habits of thought and action around these institutions. That's why they see themselves in there. And the point that I am making when it comes to, like, that idea of seeing yourself in institutions and seeing institutions change is that I think people, whether directly or otherwise, see themselves in the institution of the FBI to some capacity. It's not going to be this sort of overt visualization, but there's going to be some level of appeal that is going to be in favor of maintaining the institution of the FBI. So, if we are trying to change these institutions, it's recognizing, for me, that I see myself in this institution, but other people don't see myself in this institution. Therefore, I'm willing to take a social and status cut in order for others to see themselves in this institution. And that's the position I hold.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of split with you because, like, I do not like being a revolutionary. I understand, like, there's a certain point where a system gets so bad you literally got to flip the table and start the whole fucker over again. But I think that's, like, an incredibly rare thing because, when a system breaks, you have to deal with the consequences of that. And if you're talking about, like, something as the FBI, like, it serves a big role. Like, that's one of the biggest reasons I'm defending it, is that it does a lot of good. So the long and the short that I want to go here is that I 100% understand your argument, and you have a point, is that institutional bias is a thing. I have been a part of the FBI for 20 years. I don't really want it to change. I've only got 10 years till retirement. That's a very human, real thing.
Yeah, and then also too, there's, to your point, there's a bunch of other people who hold that exact same idea. Where it's like, and they might be in like 2 years down the road, 10 to 20, and then like I guess the calculus, and that's probably where we split hairs, is that for some people they have that recognition in their thought, and they're like, okay, because of this, despite this, I still want this to change for others. Where other people might be a bit more self-serving. It's like, you know what, like I'm just gonna ride the wave out to the end. And there's like different variations of that, different levels of intensity. And
that's where you actually get to the master art of politics for me, is that most people think that once you get the election, you have like most of the power, you just do whatever the fuck you want. The biggest flaw with Trump, and I'm just going to bash him on this one just to make the point, is that Trump complained about the deep state, but he didn't have the gigabrain idea of you place your administration. You don't take the shit that's handed to you. If you want something that's going to last, 5, 10, 20 years, you build a legacy out of, you don't bring just yourself and your cronies. You got to bring in the entire apparatus. You have to reforge it to your mold. And that's where, for me, the gigabrain take here is that you have to play politics in an institution like the FBI. You have to go find the people who agree with your vision on what this fucking thing is supposed to be, and then you have to literally weed out everybody else and rebuild that from the inside. That's where I think me and you differ, but that's like the Giga Chad take.
There's truth to
Joe,
that.
but you gotta answer this goddamn question. Everybody else is talking about fucking electoralism. We're talking about like getting the senators and the Congress and making issues and bringing it up and fucking voting on this shit and all that kind of stuff, which obviously that ain't gonna fucking happen because most people don't give a fuck about this shit. But I'm kind of asking you, what's the practical alternative? Like if you actually wanted to reform all the fucking justice system in certain ways, like is it CRT? Is it education? Is it the next generation? Is it revolution? Like, what's the actual fucking step? Because you seem to kind of like, I can't tell if you're shitting on electoralism or not, but like, what's your fucking path?
In order to have revolutionary change, it's going to require revolutionary politics. You can't do that through incrementalism. You can't do that through liberalism. Those two things are incompatible with revolutionary
politics. Okay, so what happens when 90% of the fucking population says we're not revolutionary? Go fuck yourself.
I mean, we see that now in the institutions that are created and how they treat black people. So we already have the actualization of that.
Sure. So what do you do now?
Well, naturally, you have to kill the 90% of the people so you can change the FBI, right? That's how that works.
Okay, so I wanted to address Elder Drazi's point earlier.
Wait, pull an FBI on the FBI?
Yeah, Franklin, don't let Franklin go. Well,
I mean, like it's just like it's
Franklin.
like
I said Franklin. Franklin. I said Franklin. I don't know who else knows fucking Franklin.
Who the fuck is Franklin?
Folks. It's me. I just wanted to say on the point of Elder Drazi was bringing up like vote in people that will represent your interests. There's the other side of the coin. It's public apathy. A lot of changes are made when people aren't voting or aware of an issue, because then it doesn't become contentious enough that it goes before Congress. That's the issue with like the importance of these questions of important natural, like important national interest that seem to be suggested by the Supreme Court, is going to be this idea that Congress has to be involved in large decisions over time. And I just wanted to say, like, when it comes to like the language of defunding, usually it seems to be taking money and allocating it to different areas within the organization. I think that's the problem with using the word defunding, is that people have now used it as just take away their money. Whereas it might be good to, for example, take a bunch of the money that was devoted to counterterrorism for years and move that over to the cyber crimes, move it over to the other elements within the organization that do good work and could actually affect prosecutions, so that you have accountability. As Braddock has pointed out, if the FBI was going to court, there would be a judge to say, hey, here's how you fucked up a warrant. Hey, here's when you went into this person's house and you shot them and you didn't have justification. Hey, here's a bunch of examples of abuse you engaged in. But when they're engaged in counterintelligence or engaged in some form of intelligent, review, then it's harder to hold them accountable, because again, they're separated from the court system and other branches in that organization.
And when it comes
to be fair, when I
mobilizing-
said that you should have to, we need to vote people in, I first said you have to make it sexy. You got to get loud about it because we all know the opposite of apathy is horny. You got to make it sexy. You got to get people horny for the FBI reform.
I get the feeling you
Thank
already find
you.
the FBI quite sexy.
So like,
I do.
I don't
Franklin
fucking
brought
love
up-
them. I just thought it was important to talk about that they don't just murder people all the time. They're not just doing terrible shit all the time.
Their
because the
atrocities
entire
are fed.
conversation's formed around that. It's we're not going to have any kind of productive conversation. Also, whoever said that, they heard you too. You're getting taken out. It's fine.
So Franklin, something that you said that kind of resonates a little bit because Ty and I we could rant about this for hours, where it's like, unfortunately in politics, and this is why the make politics sexy argument is a little misguided, is that there's a lot, like, the people who determine the politics of a particular issue are whoever had the most, or anybody who has the most money. And whoever has the most money is going to determine the narrative of the politic, how far that politic is going to go, and then what it looks like. We've seen this with farmers, we've seen this with teachers, we've seen this with the police. And the issue is that even in the space of trying to be more representative of individuals, is that within these electorates, even in the reform the FBI, abolish the FBI, defund the FBI, whoever has the most power, money, and influence is going to determine what those politics are on their own
Wait.
terms.
Have you been watching?
No. I want this for a second. So this is where me and Joe do bash a lot when it comes to like our political doctrine, is that I do believe that money is a force multiplier when it comes to optics and in politics. I'm not going to act like it isn't, but it's not a static one. We have definitely seen where people literally with very little money can make a huge amount of impact. And so like, I don't like excuse me, I can't talk today. I don't go around the whole thing of like, oh, oligarchy be damned, we're fucked, right? I definitely like, hey, look, the deck's a little stacked. I'll even side with the leftists on that one. Is like, goddamn, there are some really rich people that play some really good politics. But on the other side of that conversation is that the people have things that when they hear them, they know are true. And I think that's up to the politician to actually go, if they're remotely good, I do have to craft that message that brings out the truth that they cannot ignore. And like this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to throw up a little bit while saying it. One of the reasons that Trump was successful, probably the core reason, is that he said something that was innately true to a lot of the Rust Belt, and that's why he won 2016. Is that they knew that they had been left behind, they knew that they had been discarded, and they were really pissed about it, but they didn't know how to put it into terms, and they didn't know who to vote for to actually make it happen. And Trump said all the right things. Didn't do the right things, but he said the right things. And so, we even
that, like when you're forming politics, is that like there's just some parts of the electorate that are just going to have to recognize that they're going to have to take a status cut if they're trying to be representative of the entire embodiment of that electorate. Like
Joe,
quick
question:
what's up?
Who is the super rich guy that made Medicare for all like the sexiest topic of like 2016? He was super rich, right?
You're asking me?
Well, I'm being ironic because you said that it's all the people with money and power, and Bernie Sanders made a lot of things super sexy and popular, and the person who put the most money into their campaign got knocked out of the Democratic primaries like super early. I don't think you have to. You just have to be. You have to.
But anyway,
What?
He's right. That wasn't his
Why
argument.
are there so many people just practicing talking to me? It's incredible. It's like.
I think I directly addressed what you said. You said powerful people with lots of money are the ones who can make issues sexy.
My life.
Listen. This is not a government-sponsored activity. I have the right to talk however I would like. So, the thing that I'm trying.
Nobody's questioning that, dude.
The thing that I am trying. I mean, somebody got really upset with the idea of practicing talking when I said there are a lot of people on this panel that are practicing talking with me. So, but anyway, I digress. The point that I'm trying to make and why that Bernie Sanders take was absolutely ridiculous is that we didn't get anything through Medicare for all, but we can see that those who had the most money determined the narrative of the politic, the rhetoric of the politic, and what that politic looked like. Bernie Sanders didn't give a fuck about black people. Turns out a lot of black people need Medicare and need health insurance, but they got fucking ignored.
So your issue with what I said isn't that Bernie actually did do the thing that I said that he did, and it was counter to your point. It's that you think he doesn't care about black people. Because like you didn't actually say anything.
Practicing talking
who
again.
Who talked
it's
about?
cool, man.
We're
good. I can't engage
Who made
with
it
this.
sexy then?
You're good. You're good.
Nah,
we're good.
Joe,
I mean, you've been
I heard some
practicing talking for 40% of the fucking panel, my guy, and
Yeah.
I'm practicing talking because I have an issue with something that you
No,
say.
because
or
you don't. You're like
I-
you're not
I
engaged. You don't
politely
engage with
object.
what I say because you just like assume
So
that
Joe,
there's
hold
something
on.
that I
No,
am saying.
I'll be the dick on your behalf, fucking Drazi. All right. So the fucking thing is, we're saying electoral politics. You have to make shit popular in order for fucking people to move the shit. What Drazi said is that Bernie Sanders moved the Overton window. What did you say that is different than what he said that proves that he's a fucking idiot?
Thank you.
It's not saying that I'm proving he's a fucking idiot. I said he was practicing talking. It's a different thing.
What does
That sounds
mean?
like he sounds like a fucking idiot. So.
Yeah. You can just listen to what I say. If I want to call you a fucking idiot, I'll just call you a fucking idiot.
Okay.
So like, that's how
Wow,
this works
dude,
here,
just a
right?
clown.
So
Let's go.
anyway, the contention that I had. Don't tell me what to fucking do. I'll talk how I want to talk, Connor.
Well, don't
You
tell
go
me
fuck
how I'll
yourself with that
talk. I'll
bullshit.
talk
You
how
can
I
go
fucking
fuck
want to
yourself
talk.
with that bullshit.
I want to talk too. Holy fucking shit! I should talk as well.
Let's all sit here together and can groom my fucking y'all as we learn how to speak goddamn fucking English. Holy fuck! 10 more minutes of the show. We're closing it out. Shut up, Sprout. All
The
right.
people who have the most money will determine the rhetoric of the politic. They'll determine how far the politic will go. And it's very clear that the electorate that the Democrats want and need didn't move anywhere when they had an old white guy in the fucking in the Northeast tri-state bitch about healthcare. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay. Then, all right. So is your counterpoint
Oh.
that like the people limited Bernie's reach, or is that Bernie's rhetoric was fucking dog shit? Because
His rhetoric
if
was,
you
his
said-
rhetoric was dog shit.
Okay, but that's kind of not the point that I think you originally made, which the point that I think you originally made is that the DNC and the Democrats and all that kind of stuff, they limit the power of people who might actually be able to achieve something. So in order to achieve anything, you actually have to go after the people with power.
You have to, the people who are in positions of power have to recognize, in order for whatever they want to be widely popular to as many people as possible, certain groups are going to take status cuts and must take status cuts in order to be fully representative of all the people in their electorate. Like
Okay,
one
so
of the
are we
reasons
talking about the
why,
whites?
like,
Who are we talking about?
it's gonna vary. Why are you talking about the whites? What kind of retarded shit? Whatever.
I'm asking you who's going to take a status cut. Who's going to take a status cut?
It's going to vary differently. If we look at farmers and the electorate of farmers, when it comes to marijuana cultivation, preservation, and selling, it's going to go to all of the rich farmers and the farmers that already have the infrastructure to have the marijuana. It's not going to go down to your mom and pops. So the large manufacturers and the people who already have the farmers that already have the infrastructure will determine the politic around marijuana. We already see this in my state. So the point that I'm trying to make is that in order for an electorate, in this case, farmers, to care and try to like represent as many people as possible, those rich farmers are going to have to take a status cut in order to make sure other parts of the electorate are represented. That's it.
Or you need
Why?
to lobby better for your positions.
Well, I mean,
No,
I would argue
why?
that's a part of it too. That's a part of it too. Like one of the things that Bernie Sanders failed to do, like if we're going to go down that route, is to actually talk to black people. He did a very good job at platforming black people. But when it came down to understanding what black people want and what they need, he just kind of dropped the ball. But the same critique I give the Democrats. It's the exact same thing.
It feels like you're making 2 points. It feels like you're making like only the rich and powerful people can fucking decide policy or whatever, and then you're also saying that the rhetoric is dog shit.
They have to understand. No. They have to understand that exists. That money, like economic power leads to political power, and the political power changes America. So if you are in a position of power, you have to recognize your power and influence. And then the question for them, it's not something that we do as voters. It's how do they make sure that the entire electorate is represented?
Why would they give a fuck about that if they had disproportionate power in an unjust system?
Well, this is the problem that we're seeing.
Okay.
And like,
let's just be honest though. Let's just be honest though. The American people don't want change. We see this again and again and again. They don't want change. This is why incumbents are so much more likely to win the election versus someone else that is challenging them, because it's the devil we know versus the devil we don't know. Americans don't want change because they're fine with the devil we know. when the devil we don't know could be so much better and could cause so much furtherance in the United States than the devil we know. But the people that are elected continue to win their elections, even though they should have been beat out long ago. If Americans weren't so just afraid of fucking change.
I love you, Sprout, but I just can I have this, please? Please let me have this. Like, I love you, Sprout, but I disagreed with literally everything you said. But it's not that like you're not having a point. So the number one, the United States clearly doesn't have a problem with change. We're literally flip flopping presidents every 4 to 8 years. So like at least on the federal level, we're changing pretty consistently. When it comes to like the actual Senate and Congress, that's been slowing down lately. And I don't think it's actually because people don't want change. It's that we have this weird thing where we become politically, geologically locked in the regard that we only have probably about 30 House seats that are now swing seats. Everyone else is, you drew the districts around, and I'm not even going to say gerrymandering because you don't really need to at this point. All of the Democrats are in the fucking cities, and all the Republicans are all in the rural parts. And it's only the suburbs that are the places that actually split hairs. So
if Americans weren't afraid of change, then why wouldn't they be in favor of term limits?
Okay, so I can tell you why I'm not in favor of term limits. I think it's literally an anti-competence check. If I get to go, hey, I like this guy, I do want to keep him in fucking power because he's working for me, then, I get to vote for him and I get to keep going. And I think that as a vote, that's a cognitive ratification of the people's will, whether you agree with it or not. So when I hear term limits,
I just civics. Like, I'm just fucking asking. No, not
I
you
did,
in
yeah.
particular.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
so,
like,
so
yeah.
you kind of know that, like, in order for term limits to be implemented, it would have to be done by the House of Representatives and the fucking Senate, right? So you would basically have to have the people who would be subject to the term limits vote for the fucking term limits, and because there's a perverse incentive there, they're not going to fucking do it, right?
Except for I vote for politicians that are pro term limits.
Anyway,
so, I mean,
so
they got
whatever.
1 out of 453.
Well, can I just say,
fucking amazing.
Wait. So Connor, like he actually has a point here. This can actually be done. It's been done in a number of state houses. So like this can be a thing. So
at
I'm not
the
going to
federal level when you're making fucking $200K a year to sit on your goddamn ass.
Well, I mean,
I actually think I
totally
totally can see it happen. And when just getting back to Sprout real quick is that I get where you're coming from, where it's like people don't want change, but I mean, there is an entire wing of this country that wants change, and I would even say to some degree radical change. They call themselves progressives because they agree in change. Like, that is their entire platform. Like, I don't see where you're going with this. I really don't.
But yet they're not willing to vote out their own people. Like, so they're not willing to vote out their own people.
Okay, so like I'm gonna probably take some flack from this one, but the majority of them like their own people. They might disagree if they prefer a particular blend of AOC versus like Warren Harris, Warren Harris, sorry, Senator Warren.
They don't like
AOC. When it comes down to it, they want those guys more than they want our guys. So for me,
you realize there's a primary, right? There's a Democratic primary, just like a Republican primary.
Yes, that's how AOC has her job now.
Right, so you can primary someone out of office. So it's not a Republican versus Democrat thing as to why nothing's changing.
Well, no, but here's the thing.
You're also assuming that like people know how the system works, and like especially progressives.
Are you telling me people don't know there's primaries?
Yes, absolutely.
We know there's primaries. That's why so many Republicans are getting primaried out.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're telling me that Americans don't know there's fucking primaries?
Yes, most Americans are retarded. Yes,
they probably do, but just God.
Everybody,
to
Spartacus's point,
against Trump are actually been primaried out. Liz Cheney's a prime example for that. Now who's getting put in place?
Don't need her.
That are Trump.
They never need her in the first place. They like.
Is this conversation about the fucking FBI? Because I thought we were talking about the FBI at some point.
That conversation died 30 minutes ago. Just let it die, okay?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
We're shutting this out in 4 minutes anyway.
Nice.
Like the thing, oh Jesus! Like I don't understand why. So Sprout, let me see if I can understand this.
Okay, go ahead.
Like what? Just to kind of recenter in it. What's your FBI position? Is that it should be dismantled and then regulated to the states?
Yes.
Okay. So from there, who is going to make sure that each, like, do you think that these individual entities are they going to be unified in practices, policies, and procedures and settled habits of thought and action? Or are they going to be sort of like state specific?
There will be committee rules. So basically, the state intelligence agencies will meet quarterly, if not monthly, to debrief each other, and there will be committee rules via these get-togethers of the different state intelligence agencies.
Gotcha. So do you think it's possible to have that along with a entity that is higher than that to make sure all those agencies in those different territories are accountable?
Maybe a smaller governance board, yes.
Is that somewhere close to where you're
Doesn't
at,
have
Franklin?
teeth. It's got no fucking teeth. Yo.
Except for the state intelligence agency would like lose funding because all of this is federally funded. So if you piss off the governance board enough, then yeah, I would say that it's got.
It just sounds like the FBI with extra stats.
Yeah. It's not the FBI, but it's not the FBI. It's not the FBI though. So the governance board is so first off, the governance board is not going to be a presidential appointee.
Okay, who gives a fuck?
I kind of like I think there's something to that. Like, who do you think? And maybe this is like okay. So let's say in your state, like this happens. Like, so we snap our fingers. This exists. Who appoints the leadership within each individual? We'll call it FBI, but for now it's like totally different. Like within these FBI branches from each state, who like appoints those people in power?
I would argue it either needs to be a national election of the governance board, or it needs to be state-appointed electorates. So it'd be a state election for an electorate onto the governance board. But I would almost argue that it needs to be a national election for the governance board of the intelligence agencies.
Yeah,
okay,
man,
you totally lost. Wait. I know Joe. Wait, I know Joe's gonna love you on this one, but I'm gonna 100% push back, and this is one of the big disagreements we have. I have seen what. I see. I have seen. Right. I have seen what local elections for fucking judges do. I do not want this level of like exact role being taken over by an at-large election. These need to be appointed positions. If you want to change the appointment process, we can have that chat. But having
I said, either a federal election or an election of state-appointed electorates.
Can I?
What does the average American know about what it takes to do this? Like, what do they know about it?
So first off, I've given two different options. I've given the federal election option. I've given the state-appointed electorate options. The state-appointed electorate options would mean that they would choose people that are knowledgeable in intelligence agencies and stuff like that as an electorate. And then the federal election process would force Americans to, well, I guess wouldn't force, would help encourage Americans to understand intelligence agencies, and it would also provide the Americans a way to say, no, you fucked up. You need to lose your position of power because we do not believe in you anymore.
Sprout, it would make them vote for whoever was supported by their side.
Information, all the investigations that people like classified information. Do you think the American people have the right to that information? And
the right. So at what point in time? Like during the investigation, do American people have the right to the information?
Like throughout if they cannot disclose the classification, like if there's classified documents, right? And we're not talking about we're talking about just a different case. If there's if there's like a case going on, there's classified material. Are the people should they have an understanding of like the classified material that's being disclosed during the investigation? Should the people know about this?
They should know the generalities, as so much so that you don't give up national security.
So, like, here's the problem that he's pointing out is that in any time that you have that level of like cumulative oversight to where you can get that kind of information out to people, the oversight becomes literally the killer of the intelligence. So that is why you have these appointed positions in the regard that you have somebody who's supposed to watch it. We can bitch all the long day about how good they actually are, but when it comes down to it, is that you limit the key players within the intelligence service to as many as few as possible, because every person of intelligence is an avenue of escape, and you don't want that out. So
hear me out, Ty.
I know you do. I know.
All right, Joe. Hold on, before you go, Joe. I promise, Joe, you get a response, and then this show fucking ends. Do you understand that? So Joe gets it.
Go
And it
fucking
fucking
in.
nobody else gets to talk after. Joe finishes it. I wrap this up, and you can suck my talk.
Everybody talk
Fuck you, Alexa. Fuck you,
I
Alexa.
fucking
I
made
don't
you.
even
You
fucking
shut
get
your
closing
goddamn mouth.
statements.
Everyone, shut up, or I'll mute every one of you but Joe. Joe Lewis, go.
So something I don't agree with this, Ty. I don't agree with this, Sprout. But I do see a world where the governor, attorney general, the governor, lieutenant governor, and the secretary of each state comes up with a person to bring a point as a leader of a commission. I do see the idea of like, hey, if we're appointing one individual per state for this like position and they are overseeing these little branches in the state, I think it's totally fair to have like some level of like, you can do it from like the governor, lieutenant's second state. You can do it in a way where it's like security members of those security communities coming together and voting for one candidate, and then like that candidate becomes a representative. I could see a world like that. Because for private citizens, obviously, because of classified information, like if you put it on a ballot, they won't know who they're voting for. But something that could be interesting is if people, in terms of security, say like, well, these are the things that we're like looking for, like these things that we care about in regards to security, in regards to protecting Americans and protecting the Constitution. And then that security community brings forth an individual, and then maybe there's like a voting process from there. I think that's something that's possible. Within the confines that you were describing.
Okay, there we go. We're gonna go into closing statements, but before we go into closing statements, I'm Queen Alexa. I run the Political Shit Show. Come join our server. I do these shows every single week. That's all I ask. Just come join our server. It's not that fucking hard. All right, closing statements. Tell us where we can find you and your closing statement on this topic. We will start with Tiberius.
Oh, I had to go first. God damn it. All right. Anyway, I've been Tiberius D. You guys know me for doing a lot of the geopolitics stuff and structural analysis when it comes to economics and politics, when it comes to the domestic stuff. And as you can tell, I'm a bit of a veteran. Some of us all know each other. We're good friends. It's good to see y'all here once again. If you're interested in what I particularly do, you can catch me at Tiberius D on YouTube and Twitch largely. Pretty much everything that I do is on the YouTube. As far as my closing thoughts on this one, when I came in here, some of you all were like, who is this guy? And he must be a complete idiot because he can't get a sentence out. I'm fucking pissed. Why is this a goddamn topic? I am so tired.
Because it's fun. Because I can. Because I did it.
This is, Alexa, this is not a criticism of you. This is a criticism of the American people, because I am absolutely fucking sick and tired of talking to people who are running this goddamn clown house. Guys, it is the United States of America. It has power. It has responsibility with that power, and we are not fucking obligating ourselves to actually or challenging that. We need to stop letting the idiots run the fucking hen house. So anyone, and I swear, Sprout, I love you today because you didn't do what I thought you were going to do, and I was going to rip you a fucking asshole, is that anyone who's going to go on the, you know what, this is all because they rated Trump, and Trump is just the fucking divine king of kings, I was going to rip these people a new one, because these people need to be told in every term to shut the fuck up, because they're children in the adults room, and they shouldn't be allowed in our body politic. Fuck off.
I'm about to send Tiberius a VOD. All right, Sprout, go.
Now Tiberius is done talking. 1 second. All right.
Oh God.
All right. Now that we got that, now that we got that on point. All right. So, I obviously I've won this debate. I was the only person that was able to give a substantial way for forward post FBI. There's a lot of people that talked about what's wrong with the FBI. There's not a lot of people that brought up post FBI what we're looking at. I was the only person who was able to provide a substantial reasoning as to what we would do moving forward. And so bring it back to the states. Have a governance board. Elder Drazi's a Fed. Fuck you, Alexa, and Franklin's a Canadian. All right, that's the end of my statement.
Zach, you're still a 5 viewer. All right, Half Baked Takes, go.
Should we defund it? No, fuck that. I'm Half Baked Takes. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and over on Twitter, Todd from HBT. Thank you for having me on, Queen Alexa.
As always, buddy. Joe Lewis, you make me racist. All right, go ahead.
Listen, man, like my state just announced that they're giving $225,000 to 71 families who were from veterans homes who were affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the wrongful, or just the negligence of these nursing homes of just killing their residents. But then the state acknowledges no wrongdoing in the agreement. I think that shit's fucking disgusting. I think that institutions need to recognize the wrongs that they do, and the FBI clearly has made wrongs. And in the face of acknowledging, like, hey, these things are wrong and we need to fix them, there's always this sort of like incrementalist approach to these things. And listen, like, if the FBI's job is to protect American people and uphold the Constitution, then it has to reflect that from the top down, no matter what they do. I understand. Like, listen, like, my rights had to be given to me by the government. So I have a very invested interest in making sure these rights are protected. So the FBI for me and for all Black people is required. So that's my take on it. I'm partnered.
I can't wait to take away your rights.
Yeah, I'm partnered on Twitch. You don't need to follow me. I already met the end screen. Follow all these other folks.
All right, liberal clock.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced the FBI needs to be defunded. I've never heard anybody say that we need to take it to the states. That was a new one for me. Admittedly, I've never thought about that. I'm not convinced still. Yeah, I'm Liberal Cluck on Twitch, YouTube. I don't really do this much, but have a good day.
All right, the Alex Kirsch Project.
Yep, I'm the Alex Kirsch Project, and you can find my podcast, Current Events on Tap, every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spreaker, but you can also catch it on the replay on YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And I just want to thank everybody for the participation. Participation today, especially the FBI agents listening to this conversation. Please don't go chasing after anybody. It's okay. We're all friends here. But I definitely want to say is, even though I heard everybody's arguments, I'm still not convinced in regards to defunding the FBI and taking it down to different levels. Because if you want things to change, then you got to hold the people that are in charge accountable. If an entire organization is crooked, then you got to go to the highest leadership, change the leadership, put somebody else in charge. That could be the change. And if not, then you could just keep putting the right person in charge, and then you might actually see some change in regards to this. But my final take in on this is that don't defund the FBI. Don't defund these organizations. They are there for a reason. Even if they have a horrible history, the best way to learn from our to not repeat history is to learn from our history so we don't make the same mistake again. Thank you very much.
The only Canadian that's going to be safe from the crusade, Franklin.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Franklin and Slash. You can check me out, Franklin and Slash, on Twitch. When we're using the language of defund the police, obviously this topic came from some people not really understanding what they were saying about the FBI who happen to be in Congress. But I do think that there is some value in looking at the language of defunding when it comes to refunding and allocating those resources to other areas in the FBI or completely restructuring with new organizations. I think most of my problems with the FBI seem to be the fact that they are like poised as a counterintelligence agency that's supposed to deal with domestic terrorism. I think the mass amounts of funds that are put into those resources as opposed to pushing them out to other benefits that the FBI does seem to have had a great negative on the First Amendment. There is a long history. You can see a report that I put in chat, and we can put that up from 2019 that just went through every time that they have targeted an organization and policed their First Amendment rights. So my main issue with the FBI is that it doesn't seem to be accomplishing what it was designed to do, which is to catch Al Capone using the power of taxes. So get out there, become an accountant, join the FBI, and fix this, please.
We have two feds in this call. Elder Drazi.
I didn't hear anything really persuasive against anything that I said. I'm still waiting to figure out how Joe proved me wrong last time that we had an exchange or even really address it. I still think that the FBI needs to exist. Nothing that anybody said to replace it really makes any sense structurally. Nothing doesn't really make any sense in keeping with like the kinds of powers that they have. It just makes it worse. I really think that if you care about it and anything else, make that topic important. Make it sexy. Vote for people that will do something about it. Everything else is probably just not going to work.
It's because you're a Fed.
Yeah, I already told you. Do you know tonight you should not lock your doors? My boys get real upset when they have to kick down locked doors. They'll be much more gentle with you.
Keffel starts to scream.
That is
All right,
absolutely not true. The door, whoever gets to kick the door is like one of the luckiest people. That's fucking.
He's having a
We'll
great
have to
time.
we'll have to ask Keffel how that feels. All right, I don't care. I do not care. Don't care. Didn't ask. All right, the racist himself. Counterpoints.
Yeah, so the closest thing to a compelling argument that I heard was Franklin and Slash basically talking about the divisions of like different roles in order to make the bureaucracy like more efficient, and also to make sure that investigations couldn't hide behind intel operations in order to not disclose how they did operations. I think that if you broke this up into the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the law enforcement arm that actually did action, and the DII, the Department of Internal Intelligence or something like that, basically a non-enforcement arm that is tasked with lawfully collecting intelligence within the United States while respecting most, laws and constitutional bullshit, I would be perfectly okay with that division of labor. And then when it actually took time for enforcement or action, they could figure out a way to feed intel to the enforcement arm in order to maintain American safety and security. That I found compelling. Also, an argument, here you go, for the fucking people who were arguing against me. The FBI is funded $10 billion a year. If you divided that up by the states, that would be $200 million a year. American law enforcement in the state of Florida, their total current budget is $350 million, meaning that you could basically almost like 30 or 40% increase the size of state law enforcement if you did follow through with fucking goddamn Sprout's schizo-ass plan. I still think it's a fucking schizo plan, but I did want to give you guys talking points for your next debate so you can throw that in somebody's face. Anyways, love it. My name's Counterpoints. Google me on YouTube. I talk about Warhammer 40K and violence and shit. It's super fun.
See. All right, somebody online and my interview partner. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Queen Alexa. I really appreciate the panel. I think this was a fantastic panel. I think that everybody delivered relatively nuanced takes on a very complicated topic. I'm going to kind of repeat my stance at the very beginning of this whole situation. I think that we have a situation with law enforcement in the United States that it kind of functions like a Russian doll system, where there's a bunch of like departments and parties that are kind of like subservient to one another, and there's kind of like a mysterious hierarchy where nobody's really 100% sure like what the difference between a police officer and a sheriff and then federal agents and then ATF agents and border control agents. Why are there so many freaking departments that are all like doing the same job but differently under different circumstances? And I think that this leads to a lot of the slowdowns and a lot of school shootings and problems like that, where freaking nobody knows whose jurisdiction is what. We need to rework the law enforcement system entirely. I think the FBI has an extremely bad reputation, and I think that if we nuked all of the law enforcement systems, just came out with something relatively new, we might solve a lot of problems. I've enjoyed talking with all of you folks. I look forward to future conversations with any and all of you, maybe some interviews here and there. And man, oh man, I want to go talk to Counterpoints about freaking Warhammer 40K, freaking violence. That's a freaking great.
That'll be the next interview.
Anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you again soon. But come follow me on Twitch, somebody online, and I'm trying to get my YouTube up there, so subscribe there. That shit's like free and stuff. So subscribe there and like help me get my channel subscription up.
Best.
All right, I love y'all for coming by. Come join the Play Show. Now get the fuck out of my VC.
All right, see y'all. All right, hold on. Let me call Todd. We're going to roll into a one-on-one with Todd from Half Baked Takes. We already planned this today. I like him as a dude. Like, if I was making points, he made half the fucking points. So I'll be back. Then let me find Todd. Oh, do I not have him on fucking... do I not have him? Where the fuck is he? Todd. Where's fucking Todd? Anyways, hold on. Give me a second. I'll fucking throw myself on full camera. Y'all can ask questions and shit. But I'm gonna go find Todd. So, yeah. Anyways, so just to shout this out while I'm looking for fucking Todd. What is your Discord so we can coordinate? ? Can't believe I don't have them on there already. But anyways. Then... All right, anyway, so let me talk about that shit for a second while fucking Todd DMs me his shit or whatever. Yeah, so that panel, it did remind me of the Reverie, which was almost refreshing. But it also reminded me of the Reverie, which was also exhausting. So while it's super fun to talk shit and yell at people and get them all stirred up and all that kind of shit, it's also kind of triggering for me to consistently hear stupid shit, and I kind of get like upset. The chances of this becoming a actual policy proposal is next to fucking zero. So the fact that we have to kind of entertain it, like if we want to talk about defund the FBI or whatever, then we should have had a conversation about like what are the roles of the FBI? What do we think could be done by somebody else? How can we make the institution more efficient? Do they need as much money as they do? Are they taking on too much? Are they politicized? Can we depoliticize the FBI? Those would all be interesting questions. Instead, I think we kind of circled the conversation repeatedly with, does the FBI serve black people? And does... Oh, there's Todd. All right, let me join. And then let me call him. Where's the messages? All right, and then we're gonna fucking. Hey, can you hear me, bud?
Yeah, my bad. I just popped into a room.
No, it's all good. We're going to, if you don't mind, I'm trying to help my friends alpha test it. So
yeah, no problem.
Have you signed up for the website yet?
I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm in the middle of doing them all.
I'll be for defunding the FBI, and then we can just talk shit about the panel.
Oh, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little I've never actually felt like worn out from a discussion before. But dude, that one took a lot out of me because I had to like hold back and not. There's so many people.
Yeah, that's all right. We can bitch about it in a second. So what I did is I went into the website, I created a profile, I created a topic, defund the FBI, and then I think if there's like a search function, you can search for the topic and then join the topic.
I saw you as like a recommended channel as well, so I'm wondering if there's it. Okay.
Yeah. And then just to chat while we're doing this thing, I see a couple of folks left. We're still gonna be rolling through with the content. We will fucking Todd and I are going to jump into a 1v1. We'll kind of talk shit about the panel and whatever else pops into our fucking head for the next hour. I will answer you guys' questions in chat, both while we're talking, but also at the end. And then we'll probably roll into the end of the fucking night. I did pop my, so CC, Canadian, fucking, hold on, let me go to his profile.
Isn't it like critical?
Critical Canadian. He was very polite as a Canadian, and I asked him if I could jump in line to speak with Todd because I popped my chill pill, and basically it's
it's over.
It takes the wind out of me after a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. So, I'm actually going to be that discussion. I was supposed to do it with him tonight, but we're actually going to move that to tomorrow. So if you guys are on my channel or anybody from Counterpoints chat that's left, I'm going to announce that sometime tomorrow morning when me and him are talking.
And yeah, and y'all should absolutely follow Todd. When I see him get flustered and then start talking, I often hear my words coming out of his mouth, and that's refreshing to see and hear because so many people are fucking schizos.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I'm at this point now. And like I actually am like caring about like growing, and I'm like telling people where to find me, and I'm doing all that shit, and now I'm actually streaming. It's like all of this, funnily enough, stems back to just like a chat that I had with you for some research I was doing, and now nice. I'm beat red talking about the fucking our institutions on Twitch. Yeah, so I mean I'm happy where things have led.
Nice.
I'm trying to wait. I'm kind of confused. So
there's a top right search. Email, oh yeah. Well, go to your email.
When you get into like the actual email that they send you, and it says confirm email, it keeps giving me an error page. from that link. So I'm gonna try something different, but that is the holdup at the moment.
Okay, no problem. And then, Chad, if you have any questions or concerns, apparently all the churches inside the United States, according to a chat, are infiltrated by the fucking Masonic lodges. So that's good to know.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Brendan? How you doing? Masonic. Wait, really? So I would love to know if that person thinks the Masons are behind everything, or if they're like,
No,
I,
that's the Jews, man.
well, you're right. The Illuminati, which is just like it's basically just a metaphor. Or I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but like they're just replacing, using that as a replacement for Jews half the time.
Yeah.
And then it spirals out from there typically. God damn, what is
Well,
going on? So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I might have to
can you
do a
screen share
different
real quick?
email. Yeah, 1 second. I'll pull.
And sorry for the technical shit, guys, but this is something that a friend asked me to do. He's runs Arium, ARIUUM, Arium.com. It's supposed to be like a new debate website. They're actually, because so many people from Twitch are ass mad about Twitch not catering to debate bros. This is actually supposed to be a social media website, like a streaming service that's built around debate bros. And so basically they're
built for us.
They just
are
launched
by us for us. Is it?
Yeah, Bufu.
By us?
So they launched a 1v1 thing, and allegedly it's live. So we're trying to get in there, see what the technical shit is. And then, so something went wrong. Okay, so just go to Arium.com real quick. Just go there. And then sign in. Do your, just do your email and your password. All right, and then we're not going to dox him. You are not on my screen right now.
Back. Well, actually, you won't see anything of any use anyway.
Okay. Then
for my birthday, but that's not hidden, so I don't really give a shit, boys.
So checking in on chat. So who hosts it? I think it's the Jews and or the fucking whatever, the
Masonic Lodge.
The Masonic Lodge. You know, that way they can get your personal information. So, yeah. Maybe I will come back to the Discord. Give me the link, please, Counterpoints. All right, we still got 60 people in chat. I'll put out the link specifically for Ragna so we can drive everybody fucking crazy. It's going to be great. I fucking love it. As a matter of fact, all of y'all are invited to my Discord in order to slowly drive GKR crazy, because apparently he's taken it upon himself in order to drive the people, the rightoids that he thinks he doesn't like, drive them crazy. So if you want to come in and drive him crazy, that's fine.
I'm actually gonna have to pull it down.
All right, perfect.
All right. 1 second. Where's my Discord? There you are. All right, sorry. I do apologize. I didn't mean.
No. This is actually all part of the alpha.
Thing.
So are you on the website now?
Yeah. I'm sending the new email to go to like a whole separate one. Hopefully, since it's going to this, it'll work. It says my account's registered already with that email address. So,
well, do you have that email and that login then?
You want to do the forgot password shit? I wonder if
it's telling you to do that.
Well, no. It's just when I went to do another sign up, I put the same email address in and it said, hey, this is already registered. So what I'm going to do, I forgot password, big takes at Gmail. Maybe this. One more try. How do you know, like, how did this come about? By the way, you said it's a friend of yours?
Well, yeah. So we've had a few friendly conversations, and basically, we talked shit about the product before. So just to give everybody kind of the lore, they launched the website about a year ago, and they had like a big debate scheduled between Glenn Greenwald and somebody else, and they actually paid a shitload of cash for it. But when they did it, the traffic to the website basically crashed it, and they're like, oh, well, we have to start from scratch. So they rebuilt the website, and they originally had it designed around kind of being like, I don't know, like if you're talking shit with somebody on Twitter or if you're talking shit with somebody on Discord, you can kind of say, hey, fuck you. Do you want to live stream and kind of debate bro it out? and then you could basically jump into an event on this website real quick, fight it, and then there's there's fights going on all the time, and you can debate anything. It can be politics, it can be controversial. It's supposed to be a free speech website. You can debate sports, you can debate whatever you want to debate, and they kind of viewed themselves, since YouTube and Twitch are cracking down on TOS, and on top of that, Twitch in particular doesn't incentivize the politics debate space. They wanted to fill that niche, that customer base. But what they didn't do, which I kind of consulted with them on, was the panels. I basically said, like, hey, you're going to need to build more traffic, do the panel scene, kind of like we just did via Discord. And then they were like, okay, sweet, we'll start working on that. So right now they launched the 1v1, so I want to test it for them. Hello, Welsh Republic. And, I want to test it for them, and then once we get tested, hopefully they're going to launch the panels eventually, and then maybe we'll do some panels on there.
Yeah, dude, I do not know what's going on right now. Every time I get an email from their little support, it's giving me that something went wrong.
Okay. What happens if you just go to the website? Did you create an original password, or is it a bullshit password?
Yeah, I did an original password because, like, when you initially come in, it.
So can you just log in using that?
I tried, and then I even did the forgot password for that, and I'm waiting on the email to come, but I'm not actually getting that email.
Check your spam real quick, and then I'm gonna DM the guy. So, hey,
all I got is something from eHarmony Associates, and as much as I'd love to check that out, but
the guy working with got the email password, and it's airing out on his end. Like it's not accepting your original.
It didn't. It's now it hasn't accepted 2 original emails now at this point.
It's not accepting the original password, and when he confirms the email,
that's when you get the error code.
Says something went wrong.
Yeah.
All right, so I sent that to the guy on the website. So it like mine's up and running, but I don't know. I did mine like 2 weeks ago or whatever. So if they added some fucking error code and it fucked up, then they might have to fix some shit on their end. But that's okay, and we can just bullshit for a little bit. So I'm gonna go on camera on Discord. I'm gonna go full screen, and then we can begin. And actually, so there's still 59 people. Can you be entertaining for 45 seconds while I go grab some water?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can try. I don't know how.
Just try. Just yell, scream, dance.
No, you're good. Honestly, if you're fucking seeing this right now and you are a follower of Connor's and you're not a follower of me, I mean, I can't tell you or make you do anything. I'm just saying you're making bad fucking decisions if you don't come over, give me a follow. Shit, you could even fucking go over to Twitter, follow me, Todd from HBT, and then on Twitch, shit, it's just Half Baked Takes. It's pretty fucking easy. I'm on the grind to 100 followers. That's the goal right now. If I get 5 people chatting at one time, I don't know how they determine that. I think I'm not totally sure. I've had like 8 or 9 people chatting for one video, but they say that's not what they mean. I'll finally get done with the build a community thing, and I'll finally be able to. I think that means I can start taking subs, baby. That's a game changer because I might make like $2-3. Holy shit. Hey, what's up, bud?
All right, I'm back. You gonna come on camera, or are you too tired?
Yep, I'm coming. Nope, I'm coming.
He's coming.
I gotta say that like really say it like really aggressively.
Yeah, well, I had a no context counterpoints channel that popped up on Twitter for a while. And they did like half a dozen ones, and I thought they were fucking hysterical. And then I felt like we've done a lot more crazy shit since then, but they haven't gotten they haven't done any more, so that makes me fucking sad. 1 second.
Oh, look at me, professional. I gotta turn off. I forgot you gotta turn off one to get it going. Yeah, I'm annoyed. If you get 2 cameras, are you able to?
Don't do 2 cameras. There's a software program called Split Cam. It's free, and it'll split it between Discord and your stream.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact,
that's gotta be. I think that's gotta be the move here soon.
It is
because
it is. It's fucking great.
Pull that up. There's that. Boom. I'm with Connor, and Come on now.
One
There we
horse-sized
are.
duck.
Ah, look at that. I got
Yeah.
one W. I got one tech W tonight. That's it. That's all I want.
Based. So,
All right, so
one horse-sized duck before we get cracking. He says, "I was promised cake and circus. I have gotten neither. I demand satisfaction." Number one, if you want cake, my son's birthday is coming up. I'm not actually inviting you, but you know, we can enjoy cake in different locations at the same time. And then the other thing is circus. We were just in a fucking circus. Are you fucking kidding me? Like that was you absolutely saw a fucking circus right
no,
there. That was
some people enjoy the circus, and I don't know if a single human being could have enjoyed what you just saw.
Dude, it was fucking savage though. So like for me, the like okay, so this actually reminded me of the Reverie. And I like Prime, and there's a part of me that loves the Reverie, but it's like the way I describe it to people who are on the outside is a Burger King fucking parking lot knife fight. That's the way that I fucking describe Reverie. And that very much reminded me of it. But what I felt like was I'm so used to being on Twitch and it being like 6 lefties and 2 righties, and then the righties get fucking dogpiled and I have to be all centroid and shit. Instead of that, it was the opposite this time, where we had like a bunch of autistic right-wingers and we had like one left-winger and he was getting dogpiled. And, that was fun. But like, I will say, like, Joe, if you end up watching this, like, dude, you can't complain about fucking like, oh, are you going to let me talk? When you've talked like 40% of the fucking time, bud.
Dude, I cannot stand that. The lack of self-awareness.
You've talked 40% of the time, bro.
Kills me. Kills me. Like, dude, if you like, it's fine. You know what? You can carry a show. You want to talk a lot. So that's a lot. That's some people.
Then do
that's
a
me
one-on-one.
sometimes. That's me sometimes. If like the panel's not giving you anything or whatever, but like he was steamrolling motherfuckers and then had the goddamn audacity to look at people with a straight face and go, "Hey, are you going to let me talk? Are you just going to?" He was. I think when he said just practicing talking is that they're talking a lot and not saying anything. He is the book, the Webster's Dictionary definition of that thing. I don't know if he fucking realizes that the irony.
Well, I finally pointed out to Joe on this fucking panel. It felt refreshing, where I was like, bro, like, don't ask the fucking 20 goddamn questions. Just tell us your point. Like, what are you poking at? He's like, well, I just want to know what people are thinking. And it's like, no, you don't, you bitch. You're fucking, you're going somewhere. You're going somewhere with this. I know you're going somewhere. Don't fucking lie to me.
No,
just tell me your fucking point.
Connor, I don't think he has anything to say. I think he does that because he wants the attention of being like the person talking the most in the panel and dictating the conversation without actually giving anything. And this is not just Joe Lewis. This is a lot of people do this. A lot of people just get on there and they ask questions, or they just repeat whatever was said to them and kind of like put it with a little upward inflection, and all of a sudden it's a question back to you and you have to deal with it.
Dude, you're wasting fucking time. Let's go.
I just want to chop my hands off, dude. I can't deal with these people.
Well, so my frustration with that is like, there are interesting places that you could go. For instance, if you were going to make the argument that like democracy is fucked up, it doesn't actually deliver to the people, you could get as many people on board with defunding the FBI or dismantling the FBI or reorganizing executive structures, and it wouldn't matter if you didn't go after key holders. That's an interesting fucking argument. But make that argument and then tell me what your alternative is. And he's like, well, revolutionary politics. And it's like, well, that's the broadest brush I've ever fucking heard. Are you saying revolution literally means 360? Do you mean teaching a bunch of kids to be progressives, and then in so doing, you get them all sucked into critical race theory, and then once you get sucked into critical race theory, you think you have to, reinvent the wheel from the ground up with everybody inside? Or are you talking about like killing rich people? Like, what are you fucking talking about?
I mean, I agree. I don't think he's really clear there, but let's not forget that he multiple times during the panel, his argument entailed voting and required you to go out and get people on board to actually push your policy positions along. And then literally like five 5 minutes later, then proceeded to tell me, well, voting doesn't, or tell everybody, voting doesn't do anything. There's no point to it. I don't.
Bro, you got to pick a fucking lane, right? It's one or the other. And then 11 Bravo 1991 says, I tried to push him on it, and then he didn't have anything to fucking say on it. Yeah, I think that's kind of intentional, because I think that it's like, you can, with us, you know, the outsiders, the right, to the right of them, right? Anyways, you can say like, oh, well, I just mean like revolutionary politics and the fact that like we have to completely reconstruct our institutions, and I'm going to count on the next generation to do that, this, that, the other. But then with like, you know, the more like actually bloodthirsty people, you can just kind of like look into the camera for a few seconds. And a lot of fucking lefties do this shit. That like Vosh does this shit. Everybody fucking does this shit. And it's like, bro, like right wingers are getting banned for saying, by the way, I believe incorrectly, that they only want to live with exclusively white people because, like, the world would be a better place if they could live with exclusively white people, right? They're getting banned for that shit. But you got fucking leftoids on these platforms basically saying, like, I want to kill rich people, and or like, I'll go right up to the point where I want to kill rich people, and then they back off their fucking statements, and they're just allowed to run on every single fucking platform. It pisses me the fuck off.
I don't know. I just, huh? I'm just still like, I'm just like, I really, thank God I just got like the nicotine that I've been craving for like 2 hours now.
Why couldn't you
what
smoke
kills me
during the panel?
Huh?
Why couldn't you smoke during the
panel?
panel?
I can smoke, but I threw in like chew, like chewing tobacco.
Okay.
But I don't like to do that when I'm on a panel because it's just harder for me. I don't know. Anyway, so basically with these conversations, I feel like I think it was you who made the point early on that this is like an example. This topic in this conversation is an example of the pure hypocrisy of all of these political activists across the board, but especially over here on Twitch, Paul. They have been screaming at the top of their lungs, defund the police, you know, all cops are bastards, policing is a evil institution at its core. And then the moment it's politically advantageous for them to support the FBI, you're going to suck their dick now? Like, could you at least not be that transparent? Like, could you at least try a little bit to not be so hypocritical?
Well, but that's like, so that's where, for me, it feels like everything's upside down, because you have Republicans fucking arguing to defund the FBI. They are law enforcement. Obviously, they're federal law enforcement.
Yeah.
But they are law enforcement. And then you have fucking leftoids being like, no, this is fucking base. This is awesome. Like, and of course, like, on some level, they're doing it intentionally to piss off the other side. But I also think people are so fucking partisan that they don't even realize that the logic, like, I don't even think they understand that the logic that they're carrying through on one end carries through on the other end as well. They're fucking, like, it blows my mind. And then what doesn't blow my mind is, well, actually, what does blow my mind is, like, none of this is passable. None of it. Not a fucking thing that we said in the past, like, 2 hours was passable, which is part of the reason why, like, I stopped going on the panels as much, is because it's like, we can have interesting conversations about the topic du jour, but if there's actually no execution, all we're doing is we're blowing fucking wind up each other's ass. And I don't want to exclusively do that. Like, it's fun sometimes, but Jesus.
Was there a single, like, cohesive or like a I can't think of any
Canadian,
like really good point that was made.
Oh, the Franklin guy. Thing. Yeah, so Franklin, the fucking Canadian dude, his argument was that basically, like, the main problem with the FBI is the fact that they will prosecute federal crimes, but because they're an intelligence gathering agency, when it comes for discovery for evidence, they will hide behind the fact that they use, like, intel stuff in order to either incorrectly prosecute crimes or not prosecute crimes at all. Well, they'll begin the prosecution process and then they'll back off because they're probably breaking the law in order to get the intel that they got. So that was his point. And for me, that's actually a relatively easy fix. You can divide up the agency into the intel gathering part and the execution part, and then you can kind of make sure that like these things are still communicative enough that they don't miss out on important targets, but they also execute what they need to execute. You could divide up these different tasks, but that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about, according to Sprout, we were talking about taking all these responsibilities and passing them back to the states, which I think was the fucking most retarded shit that you could possibly do.
He's listening too. He's in my chat right now.
Sprout,
actually,
I love you, but that
really
idea is
quick.
fucking tarded.
No, he's fine. He knows. It's all love. And also, yeah, Sprout. To be honest, do you care? Oh wait, we can't bring in. Oh wait, could we bring?
We're on
in?
Discord.
Are we able to? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
If Sprout, if you want to hop in on this, you're more than happy to. But I love you, dude. But yeah, no, I just think it's a ludicrous idea, and I don't think you'd be on board with this at any other point.
Even okay, but hold up. Even if we agreed with him on principle, how are we going to get it done?
I mean,
you think the House is going to pass that shit? You think the
play,
Senate is going to pass that shit? They're not passing that shit.
But just play the game. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the president has the ability, the executive power, to just completely dissolve the institution. From my understanding.
Nah, he could. There's like no. So I don't think so at all, because if like somebody tried to dissolve the EPA, that wouldn't fucking work. It would depend on whether or not it was passed. He could fire.
He's allowed to fire anybody He's allowed to fire any person in that agency.
Yeah, he could gut it for sure. As a matter of fact, that's what they accused I think it was Trump, but it could have been somebody else.
Yeah,
they accused somebody else of gutting the EPA by basically intentionally firing a bunch of managers and then trying to make it so chaotic that the entire institution was fucked up and couldn't function. I'm sure you could do that to the FBI, but I'm not sure if you could dissolve it entirely. Subject to change says, yes, the president can dissolve the fucking institution. All right, so what I'm going to do, because I'm not a fucking retard, is I'm going to Google, was the FBI created by the legislature or the executive branch? And if the answer is it was created by the legislature,
it's executive branch.
Right.
Though.
No,
it was
is the executive branch. What was it created by?
No, I know. I think it was the executive branch. I think it was established by. I think it was established by Eisenhower.
Oh my God, Roosevelt.
It was Roosevelt. Wait,
no
FDR?
Fucking way.
Was it FDR? Oh wait, was
President Roosevelt in 1908? So I don't think that would be FDR. That might have been Teddy or some shit.
It's Teddy. Oh my God.
Fucking base Teddy.
He never ceases to amaze me. I love him, dude.
Okay,
I swear, I am him. When people are like, "Hey, what are you?" I swear to God, it's just gonna be easier. I should just be like, "Well, whatever Teddy said." Me and Teddy are lined up on everything. I don't know if you saw my recent video. Like, I'm on this. I'm doing it. I'm just like, I started an organization at BGSU, so I'm going to try to have like some actual legs, some in real life legs to it too, and see if I can grow. But I'm reviving the Bull Moose Party.
Fuck yeah.
Progressive republicanism is based as fuck. Like, it's not. I'm not a progressive. Like, it's just it. I don't know. I'm building out the our like a whole like platform document so I can give the whole rundown. But it's basically just like, hey, dude, be fucking cool with people's individual rights, and then we can keep all the fiscal responsibility and making sure that we're dictating the global trade routes and make sure we're facilitating like freedom, not only at home, but abroad. They're just like environmental protection, wildlife conservation, shit like this is just like so based to me. And it's like, it's based to most people. Most people like this shit. The problem is you're forced between two parties that don't want to allow that.
Well, I kind of wanted to bull moose the Forward Party, because Yang probably has a bunch of fucking Bitcoin bros who are fucking ready to throw down cash into the Forward Party. And the Forward Party is supposed to be a centrist party. It's supposed to be not left, not right, forward. So pragmatic solutions for the future America. We care about all citizens, et cetera, et cetera. And you could take basically the bull moose platform and say, this is why it's good for Americans. environmentalism is good for conservatives and for progressives, because basically progressives want to save the fucking bunnies and conservatives want places to hunt, and they want places that are beautiful, and they want places that like suggest the greatness of America. Environmentalism can be a bipartisan issue. It doesn't have to be
and most right wingers, I would say like 95% of right wingers accept that like people have an effect upon climate change and that we can destroy environments. We have a long history of it. All we have to do is go about that argument without going to the extreme. We don't have to shut down all fossil fuels. We don't have to like we don't have to cut your job at the fucking coal plant. We can just innovate, and we can put money into research and development, and we can try to be the fucking world leader instead of letting Europe do it for whatever fucking reason on this
so they
shit.
spend
And
the
then,
money, and then we steal their shit when it's done.
see, but no, I'd rather us innovate, us fucking make the best shit in the world, and then let the rest of the world fucking take our shit, and then we make all the money from it.
Right.
There you go.
Then I wanna share this real quick because I'm kind of fucking losing it a little bit. I started Googling whether or not the FBI was created by executive order and whether or not it had been codified by Congress. It was created by executive order, and I don't see anything saying that it was codified by Congress, meaning that the president actually could dissolve the FBI
constitutionally.
if he wanted to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there was when I tried to Google to be like, can the president dissolve the FBI or whatever? There was actually something called the can the president or can the FBI be dissolved by the president? The Presidential Reorganizational Authority is a directive saying that pretty much the president can do what he wants with executive institutions with limited legislative oversight. So I don't know what that means. I'm sure that means that actually a decent chunk of the executive branches
he would need to have political support for it,
of course.
But like if he is going to like pull his or her, I was going to make an analogy of pulling their dick out and doing that, but you get it. Like him or her doing that would entail that there's a lot of political support for it, and I would assume that you'd have some, if not like a good chunk of what that same party in Congress being for it.
You know what was also created by executive order?
A lot of shit.
The EPA.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, this is the thing. People don't. This is why lefties fucking get so mad at me, and why I get so frustrated. I get frustrated with everybody because it feels like people just want to talk about this stuff and like give their opinion on it, but don't realize that their opinions are they're like fantasy land shit, because they live in a world where like we have methods and systems to how we do stuff. You don't just get to wave a magic wand. You have to do shit by the book. And listen, there are countless people across history that have created amazing change by doing it by the book. And then guess what? That was lasting, remaining, permanent change because they did it right and they did it correct. It's crazy to me that like somehow that's like a left-right issue right now of like, should we do shit by the book? Should we care about institutions? It's like, yeah, dipshit, we should care about institutions. Are you kidding me?
But that's actually what's interesting is like, so the progressives want to progress faster than the system will allow them to, which is, I think, why they virtue signal about revolution, is because they're like, we want the world now, you know, and like all that kind of shit. And then the conservatives are like, no, we don't have to change everything. And it's like, both of y'all bitches are fucking wrong at the same time. Like, we should update things. I don't know why this is a wild fucking perspective, but apparently it is. Like, literally, the shit that's not important, update it so it makes everybody else fucking happy. And then the shit that's important, you argue to maintain it, and you figure out a better way to maintain it. That's the entire fucking program. And yet somehow, like, you're a fucking cuck from a right-wing standpoint because you're allowing things to change, and you're a fucking chud if you fucking don't want things to change instantaneously overnight at the expense of all of our institutions. It's fucking so frustrating.
Yeah,
so,
well,
yeah,
I mean,
Cullivar,
that's literally...
I know he's memeing, but he's literally like Connor being a commie right now. Like, fuck you, bud.
Hey, Oliver, thank you. Supporter of the channel. Love you, buddy.
Oh
but
no,
yeah,
he replaced me with
I would
you.
love...
That's what happened. He used to be around a lot more. Now I've been replaced.
I don't think so. I hope I get him fully. I need to keep adding to the community. But I think when we talk about how shit gets done in the United States, there's not. I don't think there's as big a hang up on what people want. I think most people are not that off. Like, they don't stray that far from the mean upon what they desire and what they would see as like successful or providing them a good life. It comes, the difference comes when we start talking about, one, how do we do these things? And then two, like, what ends justify these means? I don't know. Right now, I hear more and more people that are just totally cool with and unironically living in a world where they're okay with any end that they feel is going to benefit them is justified, like, by any means necessary.
Do you know what's fucked up about that? Is so I talked to this guy named Cultured Thug, and he's a fascist. Like, and I'm not saying fascist to be cute. I'm saying like he actually believes
Like an
in
actual
the
full blown fascist.
He believes in the philosophy of fascism, and basically what he means by that is political corporatism. You treat the the national body as a body, and then what also flexible authoritarianism. Meaning that we do what we need to do in order to achieve the health for the corporate body, and that's that's where the flexible authoritarianism of fascism comes in, because you can use it to do anything at any time, and you can justify yourself in the common good or whatever. Well, my fucking problem is, one, almost every single politician and almost every single genocide has been justified by the common good. So whenever somebody starts saying like, "Hey, we need to do fucked up shit for the common good," my fucking red flags start going off. And then the other thing about it is that's alarming to me is the fact that I think that he's right in at least one diagnosis. Most people don't care about how they get what they want. They just want it. So, if they want a fucking steak, they don't give a shit if the animal is tortured, et cetera, et cetera. Just get me my fucking steak.
That steak.
I think that's the same thing with politics. Yeah, I think that's the same thing with politics, where they're like, I don't give a fuck how you get me the desired political outcome. Give it to me. And that's where authoritarians can actually do quite well.
Do you think we hear about this like threat to democracy? I don't know about you, but like my morning starts every day. I listen to like MSNBC, like really like basic bitch liberal takes, because for like majority of the Democratic Party, that is the way that they are like thinking, or at least is good. I'm gonna get a general idea of what's like floating about in that universe and what they're talking about. I have for the last ever since, and you could say ever since Trump got elected, it started then, but really since the January 6th thing, you hear about the threat to democracy. Do you think there is a true risk of America falling into the hands of like an actual dictatorship?
No.
Or okay. See, neither do I. I don't even think that's a realistic possibility.
No,
I mean,
I don't.
At least not now. Things would have to go a lot. Things would have to get a lot worse. A lot of a lot of institutions would have to get like we were talking about, dissolved and just completely uprooted before I'd be going to that.
Right, and that's my thing is like, we survived Trump round 1. We might survive Trump round 2. And I'm not fucking, shitting my pants or whatever and shitting and crying that Trump is like, Hitler 2.0 or whatever. But when you look at, I actually just released a video about like the history of YouTube politics, and I was kind of talking about how like even Trump's sycophants have to admit that most of his policy agenda didn't get achieved, right? He wanted to build the wall. The wall didn't get built. He wanted to be more isolationist when it came to fucking NATO. NATO is now stronger than ever because of Russian invasion. He wanted to fucking close the border. He was not able to do so during his presidency. And on top of that, like, things under Biden pretty much flip-flopped immediately back to the way that it was. He presided over a good economy and cut taxes up until COVID happened. But the point being that, like, he didn't achieve 80% of what the fuck he was talking shit about. And so I think our institutions are unwieldy enough that they could survive somebody worse than Trump because there would be all these counters to that power.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, because when Trump got elected, people honestly talked about it like it was the end of the world, and people acted like he was going to be able to waltz into the Oval Office, sit down at his desk, and start fucking ripping off dictates that like that killed every trans person in the U.S. and all the Mexicans were deported or some shit like that. Like, the reason that America is so like rock solid, and the reason that we've not only become like the sole hegemon, but like we're like very firmly rooted in that position, and the world has kind of like not only accepted that, they've almost been like, yes, awesome, this is great because your prosperity is allowing for us to become more prosperous in countries all around the world. And I really don't see a way that one man could come in, and no matter what amount of support, what kind of base he had, like Trump has like the most like visceral base of all time. Like, they are fucking, people talk about him like a cult, and like I do think it's insulting to them, but like there are aspects of the MAGA movement that are full blown cunty. Like they are there for the man. But I think they're just that's a loud group, and I think this is a very like politically active group, and they make a lot of hay, but then nothing really ever comes from it because like the American populace is basically flicks them away like a fly.
Yeah, and that's where I'm actually kind of happy. I was a little bit worried, the threat to democracy, we're all about to fall apart. I don't think so. I think the Republic's stronger than that. I think the belief in the Republic is stronger than that. I do see somebody in chat basically saying like, oh, we got 40 million, 50 million diehard socialists inside the United States. I think that if you actually polled those socialists, they wouldn't want to have like the CCP or the Soviet Union or anything like that. What I think they want is they want Norway or Denmark. They want like a strong social safety net. They want high taxes. They want the economy to be rigged for middle class and working class folk. And I think that's what they're talking about. And they think that they need to empower the government to do so. I think conservatives and libertarians are correct in warning them that when you give the government power, you typically don't get it back. And this is how you create a nanny state. I think that conservatives and libertarians are correct in this. But I don't think they're like, oh yeah, Mao was awesome or Stalin was awesome. I think that's like a much smaller
Yeah. That's a very
population.
Tiny. Yeah. And like I said, those are the loud ones on the left, though.
Well, right. And not just that, but what you could do in order to get these people to shut the fuck up is make their lives better. So if they had decent jobs that paid decent wages, if their kids went to different or good schools, like that, these are the kind of things that would make people less radical because they could achieve a middle class normal life, or what was considered normal and middle class 50 fucking years ago.
Oh, shit, I had a point that I was going to bring up, and I will think of it. But 11 Bravo came over and followed, and I've been messaging him. So I lost my train of thought. So I do apologize.
No, it's all good. I'm fucking. To be honest, I'm almost as scorched as you from that fucking debate. So what I was going to say, actually, if you want to pick a little bit of a topic, fucking share your shit with my chat, and then honestly, whenever you want to call it, I'm good. I love hanging out with you. I love. Yeah,
I appreciate you giving me the extra time, buddy. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. No, and what I was going to say is we can hang out as long as you want to. We can dip as soon as you want to. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I know streamer brain, when you fucking hit like 3 hours, 4 hours or whatever, you just start fucking, it turns into goop. So yeah. So is there anything else that you wanted to hit tonight?
No, you don't have to go super in depth on it. I'm having a panel on Wednesday. So yeah, if anybody wants to at 8 p.m. or not Wednesday, this coming Thursday at 8 p.m. I got a fucking awesome group of people, not so erudite, Gremlo, I believe. Oh shit, somebody online. A few of them are coming on, and they're talking about the Civil War, like discourse that's going on, and I think that's kind of related directly to the threat to democracy and that whole discussion. So, last thing I'll leave you with is on a percentage, 0 to 100. What are the chances we see civil? Not like I don't know if we'll go to like a full blown civil war, but like serious
like
internal
anti-fascist
conflict.
Black Bloc and Proud Boys
Like
killing
people
the fuck
shoot.
out
Like,
of each
do you
other
think
in
there's
the
any chance
streets.
of shooting people in the streets? Like one group fighting against another group.
I'll put it at like 8 to 10%. Like so not impossible, not probable. So I think what's going to happen is there's a lot of people who talk shit on the internet, and then they get a taste of violence, and then they decide, ooh, this is actually some real shit. I think that's entirely possible to happen. We might have some more Kyle Rittenhouses. We might have more Summers of Peace. We might have more, mostly peace. Yeah, we might have some Summers of Peace. We might have some mostly peaceful protests. I think that shit's probably going to fucking happen, but I think actually seeing the Proud Boys team up with 3%er militias to patrol the streets with ARs, cops to back off, and then for Black Bloc to arm and train, and then for those tribal groups to kill each other in the streets, I'm putting it at no higher than 8 to 10%. The only thing that would change this is an actual full economic meltdown. That is the only thing that would change my prediction.
Yeah, because you would agree, unless somehow either you got, well, you couldn't even do it with like the police, because like somebody said on the panel, policing in America it's so spread out, and it's so like there's like so many different agencies, and then on so many different localities. So I don't think you could ever have like a big one single group of police in America that would go along and allow this to happen. So you would essentially need the military to pick a side in that battle. And I just don't see that happen. I only see the United States military coming in.
I would see them coming in order to try to broker the peace, so they'd smash everybody's heads together. Exactly. Or I would see, like, if there was a full economic meltdown, I would see like a 70-30, 65-35 split going conservative, where like if they literally weren't getting paid and couldn't get food, they would go home with whatever wasn't bolted down, and there would be like a 70-30 split, conservative versus liberal or progressive. So again, like, this is all reliant on like an economic meltdown. And by the way, like, there's a few doomers in fucking chat. Gold Money 22 says you're wrong. I don't fucking think so. And then Civil War is already underway, but it's 5th generational warfare. Subject to Change says that. I think that you could make an argument that we are in a conflict. We're in a cultural conflict that involves like cyber stalking, cutting people off from finances, doxing, harassment, political shit, cyber warfare, stealing money. I think you could make that argument. And then somebody says, lol, how do you not call 2 years of burning down buildings and taking over streets and the murders of BLM and Antifa the start of a civil war? It's already started. One side isn't fighting back yet. Because we've maybe had like 35 to 40 people die in this civil war, as you call it, whereas the American Civil War 165 fucking years ago was 400,000 people dead. And by the way, there were riots before that, and slave revolts and murders.
Those riots were completely, like, they were all under the guise of like, hey, we're doing this for Black lives or whatever. So everybody out there was supposedly doing it for one cause or whatever, but it wasn't like this was a group that organized, went out and did all these riots and did all this destruction. I think there's a pretty big difference between that and a bunch of unorganized chaos, because you see that all the time throughout history in every country, and we would not call that like a civil war, and we wouldn't even like say it's like a product of a like start of one.
Yeah. And Gold Money 22 says you're too confident, buddy. Well, I'll put it to you this way, all right? I'll give you if Civil War starts in the next 10 years, you can DM me. I will send you $50 if anti-fascists like Black Bloc, if Black Bloc and the Proud Boys or the 3%ers have a gunfight with each other in the next decade, I will give you $50. I will DM it to you. Okay. And I'm not talking about like one guy shooting one guy. I'm talking about like fire team on fire team action. If that occurs, I'll DM you fucking $50 or like a gold coin or a tomato, whatever goes for $50. I was gonna say
you might need to barter. You need to barter at that point because I think the satellites are going to be down.
Yeah, I'll send you a tomato.
Military repossessed GPS technology. You know, I don't know.
I'll send you some seeds.
Here you go, buddy, for your fucking war garden. Well, I do appreciate it, Connor.
Yeah, no, we'll catch up soon. It was awesome seeing you. And honestly, seeing somebody else get fucking triggered and then say something that sounded sensible to me is always a pleasure.
Absolutely, buddy. That's why, like I said, I've always respected you, and I love seeing you on anything. So hope our paths cross here soon.
Yep, they will. Catch you, buddy.
See you soon, bud.
All right. Full cam. Exit out. I'm going to check Discord. All right, so do at Counterpoints in the chat if you have questions or concerns. I'm probably going to dip out after this, and I'm going to DM the guy for the website. And I'm actually going to maybe put those guys together so they can unfuck their shit. If you guys want to sign up for a debate website, it's ariuum.com. Just, let me type that in, ariuum.com. Just go like create a profile or whatever and fuck around with it. As many profiles as we can get just because we're alpha testing the website right now. So if you can create a profile, get the email, set it up, we need to figure out if it's system-wide or... I'm not getting paid by them, by the way. These guys were just really nice and really cool. Gold Money 22 says, what if you're wrong? Well, I trained in firearms for a decade. I know security services. I know how to do communications. I have skills that would be useful both in the current economy and in the post-collapse economy. I have food planted, not enough food to eat, but I have some food planted in my garden. I do have a good chunk of canned food. Again, not enough to survive more than a month, but I could survive for a month. And in the meantime, I could try to figure it out. And I have lots of friends who are more pessimistic than I am. And I'm a sociable fella. So I think I could survive in the post-collapse. So anyways, I'm going to DM my Arium friend. But for now, I'm going to answer your questions and probably get the fuck out of here. I want to thank Bum Number One in particular for 10 RON. Don't even know what that currency is. Okay, but how does this help black people? Indeed. How does it help black people? I wish I could say, how does it help white people as a serious policy critique during a fucking debate? But fucking race consciousness for the advocacy of your race and no consideration for the other groups in your country, especially in a civic nationalist country like the United States, is fucking cringe. So, 11 Bravo. Yeah, I was actually... So what was fun about the panel is some of y'all were reacting like, ooh, nice, boom, got him. And it feels good to cut through a conversation of 9 people and make other people look silly. That's pretty fucking fun for me. A follower of Jesus Christ says, we should start the anti-satanic cabal party and ask me if I was satanic. No, I'm not satanic. Thanks. So Counterpoint says, no, the president cannot and people are fucking stupid, lol. I would agree with you if I was able to look it up and find that these things were passed by legislation. My understanding that when it comes to executive actions and executive orders, pretty much executive actions and executive orders can be rewritten or overruled by the next executive. They're not passed by the legislature. Only the legislature carries the weight of law. So, of course, if Trump snapped his fingers and said, I'm going to disband the FBI, the senators and everybody would fucking revolt, but it might technically be within his power, and it would actually take legislative intervention to save the institution. The peer review, if you're still here, I'm a scientist and would love to talk to you guys about climate change and renewable energy solutions. DM me on Twitter, bud. If you're still here, DM me because he says nuke tech till green tech is viable. I agree with that assessment. Anon, etc. says, no one is advocating for abolition. You say that, but people are fucking stupid. So, Counterpoints, could you send me this guy's link? I'll check his link out. 11 Bravo 1991. So happy that we had either a young grunt or an old grunt in the chat. I know he's gone now. But I'm happy that he was here. And I did post Todd from Half Baked Takes Linktree in the chat. So if you guys want to find him, you can find him. You can also just look Todd from Half Baked Takes on Twitter, and you can find his shit. Also, like the stream. Also, go check out my newest video. I'll post it. It's age restricted, but it's really good. Where is my page? I'm just going to copy it now. Because it's really good. It's age restricted, but all the comments are really positive. Let me get in here. Scroll. MSNBC. Yeah, he's not watching that because he's a fucking cuck. He's watching that because he actually tries to balance out his worldview. I think most socialists in the United States, excuse me, sorry for yawning. The fucking happy pills are kicking in. I think all the cunts in the United States that are socialists, they're probably social democrats. They're probably Nordic model people, not actually socialists and communists. That doesn't mean that we don't need to root out the actual socialist and communist bullshit. Because the government, the left-wing ones, Trump would be able to do all those things they feared under the current system. They don't like he can't. Interesting. Also, people stop shitting your pants about China. They're about to drop down to 500,000 people by like 2050. And their economy is fucking melting down because the bubble's finally bursting. So chill the fuck out. Counterpoints based. Thanks. Counterpoints. I don't know if you know anything about Lib Cluck, but we need to get him more involved in this sphere. Dude seems super reasonable and open to having his mind change. Based. Yeah, send him my way. Am I a part of the satanic cabal? Not to my knowledge. Counterpoints. That started happening during the summer of love in Portland. A member shot and killed a Trump supporter. Yeah, but dude, like one dude murdering somebody, you're talking about like 15,000 fucking murders. One person murdering somebody over political ideology has been happening in this country every year for the past fucking 400 years. And actually before then. Counterpoints. And even then it's still not likely, given our resources in this country, it would have to be a Roman-style collapse over hundreds of years. Precisely. And if we can avoid the collapse, we should. You're too confident, buddy? Okay. Well, then I'll send you a tomato when I lose the bet. Counterpoints. Also, if you get a minute, I need to find a new Discord to get into panels and stuff. Ever since the death of Hippy Dippy, I don't know where all the serious politics people went to go on panels. Yeah, I don't know about serious political panels, but I'll send you an invite to my Discord. We can get you back in the game. Yeah. So Christian Valera says, if civil war occurs, it'll be like the Troubles in Ireland or Bosnia in the 1990s. Yeah. It's not going to be half the country against half the country. At Counterpoints, we could become like Rome, where the destabilizing civil war every decade causes us to become an actual empire. True. A follower of Jesus Christ. I don't know if you're actually schizo posting. I'm not. No, I don't worship Satan. Worship God. There's no God but God, and Muhammad is his messenger. Counterpoints. Didn't watch The Last Mask Off, but are you trying to talk to streamers in the manosphere like Sneeko? I don't like him, but I see Destiny's reason for talking to him and others. Yeah, kind of. Like, I would talk to him, obviously, for the fucking clout. Also, I think it'd be good fucking memes. I don't know if Destiny wants to mix any of his old Twitch and YouTube fucking orbiters with his new super popular friends. We'll see. Counterpoints, fight me. Not right now. I'm tired. 9/11 was an inside job. Yeah, it was a bunch of rich Saudi fucks. You're right about that. Counterpoints. The president can't abolish the FBI without a law, which law requires a majority vote from both the House and the Senate and the signature of the president. Show me where that is. Show me. Give me documentation. Don't just say something confidently. Counterpoints. Do you think people are going to get turned off by Nick's race stuff to the point that he loses out, or will it just be I disagree with what you say? But I think it's going to be cute for some people, and it's going to be fucking super big turnoff for other people. So I think it's like a toss-up. He'll probably gain a lot of clout and a lot of fucking, he can be in the space, but I also think that they're going to drag him into the space to make fun of him too. Counterpoints, the Portland shooting was supposed by OC Portlanders after the fact. Okay. Is that a firefight? Is that fucking squad on squad action? Is that a civil war? Or is that two cunts killing each other? Cunts kill each other all the fucking time. Counterpoints, we need a tomato emoji. True. Take some moonshine, sure. I have a Twitter link showing how bad Biden's mind slipped. Where in Discord can I put it? I don't know. There might be like a news thing. Let me post this. This is my newest video. It is age restricted. And then I'll get you my Discord as well. And then I'm going to go talk to this dude and call it a fucking night. Invite people. Copy link. I did hear somebody like redo their membership or something or subscribe. I appreciate y'all. So we got 16 people in fucking Twitch. I'm gonna go raid somebody, and then I still have to figure out raiding on YouTube. Yeah, of course. Literal Littoral. Can I join the Discord? Of course. There's just a bunch of lefties, and one of them might try to bully you. Can you elaborate on the irony and subtext of what exactly you're trying to communicate with your Islam-based stuff? Yeah, I think so. All right, so let me tell you what's cringe about Islam. Let me tell you what's cringe about Islam first. What's cringe about Islam is killing other people of different faiths, the dogmatism, and being anti-dog, and the last half of the holy book largely being about killing other people. That's what's cringe about Islam. What's based about Islam is the social rules within a society, like don't infanticide girls, take care of your family, marry your people, pay 10% of your wealth or whatever, the jizya, pay 10% of your wealth so the community can benefit. And I think there's a lot of like cool shit in there that like Christian conservatives would identify with. That's what's based about Islam. Then that's like the serious part of it. And then of course like the bad shit is the jihadism, the extremism, the suicide bombings, the martyrdom, the murders, the dogmatism, and all that kind of shit. That's all the cringe shit. So, how do you strain out the cringe and get to the based? And then the meme-based stuff, the stuff that I pretend is based, but it's actually just a meme, is like polygamy. Because if my wife let me have multiple wives, I might. I think it's bad for society, but I'm a selfish bastard, so, you know. Octavia says, at Counterpoints, yeah, China can go a few ways with the current troubles, but the South Pacific is still concerned. Yes, indeed. Already in Discord? Yeah, posted, I don't know. Posted someplace where the mods aren't going to yell at you, or ask a mod. Raid Mr. Geek. He's been live for almost 40 hours. Jesus fucking Christ. How you make quick and witty retorts. Literal Littoral says, Connor, I'm amazed at how you make quick and witty retorts. I'm actually not that clever. I'm actually pretty fucking stupid. But compared to all these cunts, I'm a fucking genius, so that's fun. Let us go to Twitch, and we will raid Mr. Geek if he is online. John Zerka, Dylan Burns. Let's see if Mr. Geek is live. Creator dashboard. So all you 16 cunts, you better fucking stay. Mr. Geek. Mr. Geek. How do you spell Mr. Geek? Is he playing Valorant? I'm going to raid Dylan. And it's not because I don't love Mr. Geek. He has hosted me many times, but it looks like Dylan is actually live or whatever, and he's watching Jordan Peterson. So that could be fun. Oh, so we'll raid into him. Love you, Twitch chatters. Y'all are gone. Love you. Bye. Then let's go deal with YouTube real quick. I'm not in the Satanic Cabal, a follower of Jesus Christ. Chill. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why we're retarded. So, I'm actually going to dip, and I'm going to end the stream.